Yo, what's up guys? So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto's world was destroyed, and he went in a different world and found beautiful women, and got harem, part 2. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, 1949 renminbi. Link is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel, and like this video. Let's begin the video. The 7 League members appeared in the watchtower shortly after Batman's request. Stay here, Bruce said while looking at Kara, we need to have a chat. Alone. The remaining 6 original members left for their conference room while Kara sighed, and headed for her room on the watchtower. Her mind was still reeling from what she had heard tonight. It's not fair that he had to put up with all of that, she thought while walking the short distance to her room. No wonder he seemed downtrodden the whole day after Toyman. He must have been expecting them to question him, or having flashbacks to his home. Opening her door, and heading to her window, she looked down at the planet that she called home, Naruto. Back in the conference room, tensions were tight. He's so young, Diana finally said, breaking everyone from their thoughts. It is quite tragic that he has had to live through so much. John nodded, agreeing with her. I agree, but we must focus on what is important to the Justice League, and the world's safety. John's right, Clark said next. We can't let someone with that kind of power run wild with it. Batman narrowed his eye dangerously at Superman. Then what do you suggest, Justice Lord Kal-El? That coming from Batman surprised the other members. That was a low blow, Bruce. What Superman said is true. The kid has a lot of power, and just left a war. What's to stop him from going crazy? John asked, trying to defend Superman's side. Because we do not know the full extent of what he can do, Batman said. All we know is he's been fighting for a long time, survived a war that decimated his world, and killed a beast that could destroy places from miles away. We know nothing. Well, I know enough to say we should let him join, Flash spoke up. The others turned to look at him, Wonder Woman with a nod, Superman, and Green Lantern with looks of shock. John was thoughtful on it, and Batman gave no indication one way or another. Are you out of your mind, Wally? John asked Studden that he would even suggest letting him join the League. What? No, he said before explaining his reasoning. Look, we've all done something bad in the past. Superman, you got brainwashed and attacked the Earth. GL, you thought you destroyed that planet. Wonder Woman, there was that whole deal with Aresia. John, not sure what you might have done, but we don't know all your past. And well, look at Batman's track record. He interrogates guys by dangling them off rooftops by their feet, threatening to drop them. Wally sighed before continuing. I'm not saying trust him for everything. Trust is earned, not given, but I am sure he could help. Maybe we could actually help him too, give him something worth fighting for. I think he would be a great asset. Plus he seems nice. Wally finished his speech, and the members thought on their own in silence for a moment. Diana was the first to speak up. A vote on if we should invite Naruto to join the Justice League. I vote yes. Diana nodded over to Superman. I voted no. He's too much of a risk. We should monitor him constantly. John seconded Superman. I agree. He's a loose cannon, one that could go off at any second. I vote no. Wally crossed his arms, and stuck his tongue out at Green Lantern. Well, I vote yes, GL. So that's 2 and 2. The 4 voted members turned their eyes onto the remaining 2. John sighed before casting his vote. I will have to agree with Wally and Diana on this one. We could use him, and might be able to help him. Even curving his killing side, Superman and Green Lantern were a little shocked, but understood where John was coming from. He was an outsider just like Naruto, nothing left of their respective worlds, just like Superman, as well. But Superman refused to sympathize with him, mainly for his willingness to kill. Batman stood up, and started walking to the exit. Bruce, you have to cast your vote. We need to know if it is a tie, and do nothing or if he should join, Diana said, stopping the Dark Knight for a moment. I don't have to do anything, his grainy voice said, annoyed. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. He left through the door right after his response. What the hell does that mean? Wally asked, exasperated with the Dark Knight, and his varying degree of grumpiness. Superman sighed, knowing full well what it meant. It means we invite Naruto to join the Justice League. Kara couldn't really do much to take her mind off everything she learned. Her best friend had been a soldier since he was 5, and who knows what he's seen and done in that time. Her heart wept for the young man she had grown close to. Why do I feel like this? She asked herself. She knew she cared for her teammates, like Green Arrow, who was like an older brother to her, as well as people like Captain Atom and Green Lantern. Both were well-polished heroes who went out of their way to help her in training. But she felt something different with Naruto. It was even stronger than what she felt with Barbara, and Barbara was her best friend. She had made it a priority to help her out in Gotham when Batman was away helping the League. I wish this was easier, Kara thought before hearing her door open. Spinning around, she turned to see it was Green Arrow. Hey kid, he said before realizing she was crying. What the hell happened to make you cry? He asked, moving further into the room, letting the door shut behind him. Wiping at her eyes, Kara was surprised to find tears. Sorry, Oli. I didn't even realize I was crying. Grabbing some tissues from the desk, he handed them over. So, you're gonna tell me what's going on? Kara was wiping her eyes, not sure of what to say. I don't really know where to start, to be honest. The beginning is normally a good place to start, Oli said, putting a hand on her shoulder. Kara smiled at him, before taking a seat on her bed explaining everything from the beginning. It took a while, and the whole time Oliver Queen had one thought on his mind. Man, does she have it bad for this guy. After hearing everything, including what she synopsis from the talk the kid had with Batman, Oliver had a pretty good idea of what was really bothering her. Well, I can safely say two things, Green Arrow said while smiling, trying to cheer her up. First is don't worry about what the League is gonna do. Kara raised an eyebrow, while he continued, we bring the bad guys to justice. He ain't a bad guy, he was a soldier fighting for his country, and from the sounds of it his world was near the end. Kara placed her under her chin and thought, he's right. We don't interfere during wars, unless they have been instigated by one of our rogues. It's part of the Justice League Charter with the U.N. Nodding, Kara continued, well, what about the second thing? Oliver laughed before ruffling her hair a little. You're not worried about your best friend. You're worried about your boyfriend. Leaving a sputtering Kara in his wake, Oliver walked down the hall, and to where he went while on the tower, most likely to ogle Black Canary, she thought with a smirk. Shortly after Green Arrow left, Kara heard her door open again. Turning to see who was standing there, she saw her cousin. Kara, he spoke calmly, we have voted on what to do with Naruto. Holding out his hand, she saw that there was a Justice League communicator in it. Kara's eyes lit up like a kid's on Christmas. Really? Yes, Clark replied, really? But, he stopped her before she flew down the hall to the teleporter. He isn't allowed to go on any missions alone. He isn't allowed within the vault. And if he kills someone, he will face the charges, whatever they may be, alone, no League support. Kara nodded before flying with super speed through the watchtower to the teleporter. Hey John, send me down, Kara shouted up to the Martian, who nodded, already knowing where she wanted to go. A blue flash of light later, Kara was gone from the watchtower. As her vision cleared up, she saw that John had managed to place her just behind Naruto's house. Noticing it was morning, she was a little surprised that she wasn't more tired. Quickly walking up the steps, Kara banged rather loudly on Naruto's back door. Naruto, she shouted, hoping he wasn't in town. Come outside, I need to talk with you. She waited a few minutes, and still nothing. Maybe he's in town, she thought while knocking again. I wish he had a car. It would make it so much easier to know if he's home or not. Naruto, I need to talk with you, she shouted once more at the door. Pausing, she waited again, growing frustrated with her fellow blonde. Pulling her fist back to punch the door down, Kara let it fly. Naruto was having a shitty night. After his horrible day in Metropolis, accidentally fighting Superman, and almost killing that annoying piece of shit Toyman, he managed to get home, and was well on his way to getting drunk. And of course his plan on getting drunk was ruined by Batman coming to question him. Figuring it would be pointless to lie, due to his slip-up with Clark earlier that day, Naruto felt if he divulged just enough they'd either leave him alone or ask him to join. Naruto in his drunken stupor had hoped for the first. With Batman gone, he proceeded to drink enough sake to knock out Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Anko simultaneously. It was just convenient that his sake storage happened to be in his safe room, which he'd sealed up after speaking with Batman. While he did that, Kurama was woken up from his rest by his host's body calling on his chakra to avoid alcohol poisoning. Surprising, the whelp wants to get shit-faced after free ramen. But after seeing the fresh memories of the war on the kid's surface thoughts, Kurama decided to filter through the day's memories and find out what happened. Oh shit, Kurama thought, looking at the woman standing next to Superman. Then he heard what Naruto said to the man. Sighing, Kurama sent out a wave of chakra. This night is not going to be good. Filtering through the rest of the memories, he saw him explaining to Batman. Good, at least he's being vague enough to not include me in this conversation. Kurama very glad for that. Sighing, Kurama resigned himself to healing the boy's liver, as it processed more alcohol than what should ever be placed into the human body. New record, 15 bottles of sake before touchdown, Kurama spoke. Naruto slept dreamlessly, something he was thankful for. What he wasn't thankful for was the pounding resounding throughout the house, as well as his perimeter seals beeping loudly in his safe room. What the hell is that? Naruto shouted while grabbing his head in pain. The beeping would be your perimeter seals going off, Kurama spoke up from within, and the pounding would be that freakishly strong woman you have a crush on. Can't she knock quieter? Naruto asked out loud, head pounding too loudly to bother with trying to mentally communicate with his tenant. At one point she was, since then she has increased the force used. Sighing, Naruto staggered up the stairs to the doorway. Forming a seal with his right hand, he pressed it against the door before opening it, and stumbling into his kitchen table. Hearing the pounding stop, thank Kami, Naruto slowly moved to the door, and opened it, ready to greet Kara, and hopefully retain her friendship. What he wasn't expecting was a fist to come barreling down at his face. Too hungover and shocked to move, Naruto was treated to a super-powered punch right in the face, sending him flying back the way he came. All the way back down into his basement, Kara noticed too late that the door was opening on its own, and found her first landing smack dab in the center of Naruto's face. She could feel his nose break, as his head shot back, and watched in horror, as he flew backwards across his kitchen, eventually going through the door leading to the storm shelter in the bottom of the house. Naruto, Kara flew down after him. Great job, Kara. Punch the guy you like in the face, and break his nose. You are definitely gonna earn points with him that way, she mentally berated herself, finding him against the back wall with blood trickling down his nose, and swirls in his eyes. She also noticed black drawings all over the storm shelter. What are those, she thought, drawing close to the ones directly behind him. Right before her hands could touch them, a second set of hands shot up from beneath her, and grabbed her wrists. I wouldn't touch those, he said, his voice giving off a tone from his broken nose. Kara looked down, and saw Naruto had stopped her from touching the wall, and before he could move enveloped him in a hug. I am so sorry I just punched you in the face. So, Naruto said, still incredibly hungover, this doesn't mean the Justice League is coming to take me away? Kara sighed, placing Naruto down. They gave me this, she spoke, pulling a communicator out of what Naruto assumed was the smallest pocket in the world to be included on that skirt. They said they voted to invite you to join the league, but Kara said, trailing off. But if I don't take it, I could have the whole league raining down on me? Kara nodded. That was the vibe I got off my cousin after he told me. Raising an eyebrow at her, she got the signal, and continued. He said there would be a few rules. The first, you are not allowed to go on a mission alone. The second, you aren't allowed near the vault. And third, if you kill someone, you face whatever charges are brought up against you. Naruto nodded before popping his nose back into place with a sickening crunch. Basically, if I feel like I should kill the bad guy, the league will drop all connection with me. Possibly even help bring me in. Kara nodded, and Naruto sighed. Well, it isn't a perfect option, but I'd rather join than be an enemy, Naruto said, taking the communicator and heading up the stairs. Kara, following him, is saddened by the fact that Naruto still thought he might have to kill. Does that mean you are still planning on killing? Reaching the kitchen, Naruto opened the fridge, pulling out an egg, setting it on the counter before opening his cabinets. Do I plan on it? No, hell, I didn't plan on joining the league. I came here for peace. Grabbing Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, salt, and ground black pepper, setting them down on the counter, Naruto continued. However, there may come a time when I have no choice. Not everyone can be saved. Not everyone deserves to be saved. Naruto got lost in his thoughts before beginning to make the prairie oyster. Kara watched him crack the egg, dropping the yolk into the glass, unbroken, before adding the other ingredients. Why are you making that? Naruto said nothing. Finished making the drink, he knocked it back. Hungover, he replied, placing the glass into the sink. Turning to face her, he rested his back against the counter. You guys have gone up against some people in the past. I would have killed the first meeting. Naruto sighed, looking out his window for a moment before turning back to her. I once gave 2 people a second chance, Kara-chan. The first used it wisely. The second one tried to kill me. He was my teammate, someone I thought of as a friend, maybe even a brother in grief. The 2 of us had lost so much before we were ever supposed to. His name was Sasuke Uchiha. Kara began to give him her full undivided attention. He didn't tell Batman this last night. He was assigned to my squad after the academy. My sensei tested him, and the other assigned to us. It was a hard test, but they passed. Doesn't mean the road was any less hard, especially for him. His brother had killed his whole family, and spared him. Kara's eyes shot open at that. She couldn't imagine anyone killing their whole family. He said he spared him because he was weak, not even worth killing. It made him cold inside, only wanting strength. Kakashi-sensei, and I thought we were helping him deal with the pain, get over it. But all he saw was the training I had gotten, and not him. He saw that I had been a genin, starting shinobi, for 3 years before him. And no matter how much we tried, his hate was brewing inside, becoming toxic. He never let it go, and eventually turned traitor to the village, and ran. Naruto closed his eyes, recalling Sasuke's reasoning behind it all. He was heading for someone that promised him power, an older traitor to the village. Myself, and a few others were dispatched to bring him back. What happened? Kara asked. Not that I mind you telling me more about your life, Naruto. I have a feeling you wouldn't be explaining your reluctance to giving second chances unless something major happened. Naruto nodded. We caught up to him, and the people escorting him. The 2 of us fought. I had a chance to kill him, and I hesitated due to my, I guess you could call it, friendship with him. He, however, was not held back by such a feeling, and stuck his hand through my chest. Wah! Kara was stunned. His friend, someone he considered a brother, tried to kill him. How did he manage that? She asked, truthfully scared to know. what we shinobi call attacks. It covered the hand in lightning. You ran forward at breakneck speeds, plowing it into whatever you were attacking. Kara rose up from her seat, pulling Naruto into another hug. He, nor anyone else will ever hurt you like that again, she whispered into his ear. Naruto smiled back before returning the hug. After a few seconds they released, and Naruto started to question her. So I take it you heard from Batman about me? Naruto asked. However, Kara glanced out the window ashamed, but felt that coming clean would be better. Actually, Batman had the original 6, and myself all took staging points up outside your place last night. I heard it directly from you. Naruto felt ashamed. She heard it all. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Kurama snorted, drawing the blonde's attention. If she hated you, do you think she would be the one delivering your communicator? For that matter, hugging you, sending a mental smile, and thanks to Kurama, Naruto nodded to Kara. I don't hate you, and I am not afraid of you, she said, running her hand along his cheek. Naruto blushed. Never before had a girl he had a crush on be this intimate with him. You were a soldier doing what you felt was right. Leaning in, she kissed his cheek, which sent Naruto's blush level skyrocketing, almost to Hinata levels. Smiling back at her, thanks Kara-chan. She nodded, dropping her hand, and stepping back. Well, it's time to head up there for the tour, and for them to make the profile on you. Naruto blinked owlishly. Head up where? Kara just looked at him like he was crazy. You know the watchtower? The Justice League's base orbiting above the Earth. Naruto looked up at his ceiling before looking back at Kara. He did this a few times before stopping to look at her. How do we get up there? Kara face-bound, via teleporter or javelin. Nodding, Naruto started walking from the kitchen. Guess that means I should shower and switch into my shinobi uniform, he said. Kara followed. Yeah, that might be a good idea, you kinda smell like alcohol. Kara stopped dead in her tracks. There before her in almost all his glory stood Naruto. What the hell are you doing? Kara yelled at him at the top of her lungs. Naruto was pretty sure that the people over could have heard her. However, Naruto turned around confused. I am undressing so I can shower. In your living room, Kara once more yelled, as loud as possible. Naruto nodded, still confused. As to the problem, yeah? Why not? It is highly inappropriate for you to do that while you have a guest in your house, specifically a girl. Kara finished with an atomic blush. Since when? Naruto asked, hands on his hips, still standing in just his boxers. Damn it, why? Why does he have to look so hot like that? Since forever. Kara's voice coming down further, still blushing like mad though. But I've undressed, and even bathed with female teammates, as well as clients I was assigned to protect on missions. Kara's mind stopped working right that instant. Say what? Naruto nodded. Yeah, on a protection detail mission we had to bathe with our clients. Make sure no one tries to kill them in the bathhouses. Most diplomats, businessmen, and women, actors, and actresses, and daimyos like to bathe in the bathhouses, so we had to go with them. He said it just like someone talked about the weather. So you're not a virgin? Kara asked, feeling slightly down. Why the hell did I just ask that? He's totally gonna think I am some kind of freaky girl. Naruto shook his head in the negative. Nah, I am a virgin. Truthfully, a super pervert in honor of my sensei and godfather. But I haven't found a woman that would want to be with me. We'll see about that. But wait, what is a super pervert? Okay, just wondering, Kara said before asking, what is a super pervert? Naruto smirked before pulling an orange book off one of the shelves. Find out, he said, tossing it her way before stripping off his boxers in plain view of Kara, and heading the rest of the way to the bathroom. He totally did that last part on purpose, Kara thought, trying to stop a nosebleed. Looking over the cover, she heard the water turn on, and figured why not. No idea how long he's gonna be. Might as well. Now Naruto knew Kara couldn't read Japanese, but he had been spending time lately translating all of his godfather's work into English, for possible licensing and selling. You did that on purpose, Kurama said to Naruto once he had reached the bathroom. It was glorious. It was evil. It was perfect. The demon lord practically sang in Naruto's mind. It wasn't that evil. Naruto defended himself by stepping into the shower, not bothering to wait for the water to heat up. He was used to cold showers anyway. You called yourself a super pervert, told her to find out for herself what one was, threw her a copy of your godfather's smut, took off your boxers leaving yourself as naked as the day you were born, then left her to read said smut. The word evil comes to mind. Naruto had to stop washing his hair and think about that for a second. Now that you mention it, that does sound kinda evil. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto continued washing his hair and body. Kurama realized that his host did all of that without actually thinking it through. These are the moments I question if your brain actually works, or if it is just a mushy, useless organ. Naruto finished his shower. Toweling off, he left the bathroom with one wrapped around his waist, the other still being used to dry his wet hair. Walking out, he saw Kara sitting on his couch, still reading the book, blushing like mad, and biting her lower lip. Holy Kami, that is the hottest image I have ever seen. Naruto thought, notebook, where's my notebook? Must find a notebook. Quickly looking around for his notebook, Naruto slowly moved across the living room with all the stealth training at his disposal so as to not draw attention from Kara. Reaching his desk and grabbing his notebook, Naruto started to scribble in it. Just like his godfather before him, Naruto couldn't help but let out perverted giggles while he was writing. That was when Kara looked up to see Naruto standing at his desk, wearing a towel very loosely around his waist, and one was draped over his shoulders. His normally unnaturally spiky hair was down around his face, still damp, and she could clearly see the muscles she saw from earlier. But she also noticed the only scar he had was on the left side of his chest, right over his heart. Getting over her nervousness, Kara pointed at it before drawing Naruto's attention. What happened there? Naruto looked up from his notebook, and saw her pointing at his chest. Looking down, he realized she was pointing at his only scar. Placing the notebook down, that was where Sasuke stuck his hand through the man's chest. Kara got up, and walked to him. Placing her hand on it, she felt his heart beating under the scar. It is a miracle you survived. Tracing the scar with her finger, she could see how it was jagged, almost burned into him. While she was tracing it, she noticed all kinds of tattoos on his body, and left asking about them later. Naruto softly grabbed her wrist, stopping her from continuing. Miracles are the work of the divine. Escaping death, Naruto said, is nothing short of demonic. Dropping her wrist, Naruto walked to his room to get dressed. Dressing quickly in his shinobi gear from the other day, Naruto got ready to leave before seeing Kara standing at his door. Watching me get dressed, Kara-chan? She blushed before handing over the picture she pulled off the bookshelf. Was that him? She asked, noticing him throwing a sad smile at it. Yeah, it was, he said before pointing to the other two. The girl was Sakura Haruno. She was in love with him, and would have given up everything for him. At one point I tried to go out with her. Kara raised an eyebrow and nothing, she was in love with him. But we grew close, almost like brother and sister, Naruto said. The man behind us was my first sensei, and our team leader. Kara's eyes were drawn to the silver-haired man with one eye visible, close and what looked like a smile. He's the one who forced you? She asked, to which Naruto nodded, walking out of his room after grabbing the picture from her hands. Setting the picture back with the others, Naruto told her a little bit more about him. Yeah, he was one of my dad's students and squad members. He looked out for me when he could, but he wasn't always there. After something bad happened, he spoke with the Hokage, our military leader, and had me drafted, past the academy, and into apprenticeship with him. Kara nodded. You've had a hard life. I hope we can give you something new to live for, Naruto. Are you ready? She asked, wanting to change the subject for the moment. Receiving a nod from him, she instructed him to place his earpiece in. John, she said into her own, two for pickup. She quickly grabbed his hand, and smiled. He squeezed her lightly in return before they were whisked away in blue light. Naruto decided that while it was fast, the teleporter that the league used left you feeling awkward and weird. Kara saw him, and laughed. It will pass in a minute, and you get used to it, promise. She offered him a smile when he returned. Both heard a clearing of a throat, and looked up to the monitor overlooking Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Flash. Kara, Naruto, and Clark addressed the two. Kara dropped his hand before floating up to her cousin, while Naruto leapt up. Hey there, Soup, Naruto exclaimed from his perch on the railing he landed. What's up? Not much, Superman said, not thrilled with the nickname. Kara, and some of the others chuckled slightly. I see you accepted, Clark said, a bit of bitterness in his tone. Naruto nodded at the statement. Yup, thought you might prefer that than fighting me. Naruto's eyes closed into what looked like little smiles. Yes, well, Clark said, driving attention off of the previous night. We need to create your league profile, as Kara has probably mentioned to you. Yup, that she did, Naruto said while getting off the railing. So what do you guys need from me? Naruto asked, wondering what exactly they would need. John was the one to speak up. We need a picture of you, as well as a list of abilities, skills, and experience so we can properly deploy you, as well as outfit you with support should you need it. Naruto nodded, and followed John over to the camera on the console. So I take it to you, and he is fine? Clark asked his cousin stiffly. Kara caught it though. Yes, we are, and if you had the decency to at least see what he's been through instead of what he could be, you'd be fine with him too. Their once good relationship was strained, and neither was happy about it. Clark was worried about the Earth and Kara, while Kara was worried about her crush. I wish being a superhero was easier, Superman thought while seeing a list of abilities appear next to Naruto's picture. That is quite the list, Green Lantern said, looking over the resume of experience. Yeah, Naruto responded. My squad was a direct combat squad. We basically bailed out other teams that got into a pinch, ran protection detail, and were frontline during the war. Mind going a few rounds? Green Lantern asked, hoping to put the new guy in his place. Show him there were other ways to defeat an opponent rather than killing them. Only if Superman agrees to fight with you, Naruto said, causing everyone on the overlook to glance his way. because then it might just be a fair fight. Now everyone looked on, as if he'd grown a second head, plus, gesturing to the Man of Steel, I bet he's got some pent-up aggression he wants to let off. Deal, Clark said, agreeing. Kara shouted at the idiocy of her friend, and for her cousin to be agreeing. Don't worry about it, Kara-chan, Naruto said, waving her off. It's just a sparring match. Huffpo, you are all a bunch of idiots, she glared while he chuckled nervously. Why do I have a feeling the three of us are gonna regret this? Naruto asked. Well, follow us, kid, Green Lantern said, motioning for Naruto to follow. Superman, bringing up the rear, turned to face Kara. I promise we'll go easy on him. Arriving at the training room, Naruto saw it to be a plain white room with a bunch of dots lining it all the way around. Superman reaches up to his ear. John loads Metropolis into the simulator. Before Naruto's eyes, building became created, and solid. What was this place? This is amazing. Hard light constructs we use for training new recruits and improving ourselves, Superman said while Naruto went up and touched the buildings, pumping a bit of chakra into them. Good, I can channel chakra through these walls. Smirking inwardly, Naruto turned to face his opponents. I heard what you said about going easy on me. The two were surprised that he was bringing that up. Word of advice. Don't. Flinging a set of black eggs onto the ground and disappearing from view behind black smoke, Superman got ready, while Green Lantern ignited his ring. Quickly switching to X-ray vision, Clark looked into the black smoke. Let's see what he was hiding. Superman's eyes widened. John got ready. He multiplied himself. Right after Superman said that 6 clones broke from the smoke and attacked the 2-3 each. They came in at speeds that would rival most of them, but nothing impressive. John quickly started to fire energy blasts at the 3 zoning in on him. He was surprised by their agility. Dodging with ease, John felt like kicking it up a notch. So that ain't gonna be good enough for you, huh? The lead one was almost on top of him when he created a dome of energy before shooting spikes out at the attacking clones. Let's see you get through this hot shot. The clones broke off the attack before any of the spikes could land hits. With pleasure, one of the Narutos spoke before all 3 began running through a series of hand seals and taking a deep breath. Futon, Renkuta, all the Narutos brought a fist to their stomach while bringing a one-handed ram seal to just below their mouths. 3 compressed wind bullets flew out of their mouths in front of his mask, slamming into the dome. Detonating on impact, they sheared Lantern's shield apart, throwing the man to the ground. Not one to stay down, he quickly recovered before plowing a giant green fist into the closet clone. Seeing it disappear in a poof of smoke, Lantern smirked. 1 down, 3 to go. Both clones leapt into action, one grabbing a kunai, the other grabbing a handful of shuriken. Flinging both at the same time, trying to hit him dead on. John was forced on the defensive. Creating an old-school broad shield, John was able to stop the projectiles before sending them back. He only managed to hit one clone with the return fire, seeing it poof out of existence along with the shuriken it had thrown. So the weapons are clones too. I am not going to give away everything in the middle of a fight. The clone responds before closing the distance faster than what John remembered them being. Shit, he thought, he's gotten faster. Moving into hand-to-hand combat was not a favorite of John's. He could hold his own, but he wasn't the best. Ducking under a right cross from the blonde, John brought up a haymaker. However, it didn't connect, as the clone bent backwards into a flip, bringing his right foot up into John's chin with enough force to lift him into the air slightly. Completing the flip before John landed, Naruto ran forward and speared him with his shoulder, knocking him into a nearby building. Yuji, that's gonna leave a mark, John muttered, rubbing his stomach looking for the blonde. Catching sight of him running through another set of hand seals, John realized he shouldn't let him finish. Oh no you don't, John shouted, throwing his hand forward, sending a giant green boxing glove at the clone. Still running through the seals, Naruto actually charged forward, leaping over the boxing glove. Almost finished with the seals in midair, the clone wasn't expecting a spike to shoot up from behind him. With the final clone dispatched, John started to track down Superman. As the 3 barreled down at him, Superman was unimpressed. This was the guy we were worried about, his ego clouding his judgment, completely forgetting his small scuffle with Naruto from yesterday. Still standing with his arms crossed, believing him to be about as strong as a metahuman, he was not prepared for a chakra-enhanced punch to the face, nor was he prepared for the lift-off he received when pushed back by the force of the punch. What the hell? Clark thought that it felt like I was just punched by Darkseid. Still in confusion, he didn't expect to see a clone leap off the first one nor throw the third at him. Delivering a double-footed dropkick to his stomach, Superman was pushed into the ground, forming a small crater. The clones, not wanting to give Superman any breathing room, started to prepare. The first drawing a set of shuriken, and priming the explosive seals on them with a chakra pulse. Throwing them at the now recovering Man of Steel, he didn't have a chance to destroy them with his heat vision, and was hit full force by the exploding weapons. The shrapnel from the weapons being blown up didn't even faze him, nor the explosion itself, but the light blinded him for just a second, which was all one of the clones needed. Finishing a string of seals, the clone slammed his hand together, futon, de tapa. The gust of wind slammed into him, but once more with little effect. Seems you're gonna have to change strategies, Naruto, Superman taunted. Naruto smirked under his mask. I think that can be arranged. Forcing chakra through his hand, it started to glow blue. Uh-oh, Superman said before Naruto slashed it horizontally in front of himself. Yuhasho. Superman saw a wave of blue coming toward him almost as fast as a bullet. Raising both arms, he prepared for impact. However, Superman was thrown through a loop when the wind blade not only threw him off balance, but when he felt it cut him. What the hell, Clark mentally cursed, but didn't have time to dwell on it, as the clones charged in. Quickly righting himself, Clark pushed off the ground with his super speed, and threw a right cross at the clone head-on. Too close to dodge, the clone took the hit, and vanished in a puff of smoke. Not wanting to be blinded, Superman spun around to dissipate the smoke, before blocking a punch from another clone, as it closed the gap between them in seconds. Grabbing its outstretched arm, he threw it into a building with enough force to send it through the wall. Catching a glimpse of smoke rising from the rubble, Superman turned to the final one. Getting ready to attack him, he was surprised to see John shoot a bubble around him, lifting him into the air. Looks like we won the rookie, John said cockily. You know I had him, right? Superman asked with an amused look. Oh, it's not over, Naruto's voice came from all around. They both looked to make sure he was trapped in the bubble, and saw that he was. Pretty neat trick. Bet you could put on a good ventriloquist show, John taunted. Then they heard his laugh, the same as his voice before. You know, I just might be able to. In the meantime, enjoy the present. The clone in the bubble waved at them, and before they could figure out what he meant, exploded. I gotta love shadow clones and their explosive brother, Naruto said to himself sitting on a rooftop. He wanted to watch the fight both from above and front row seats. Know thy enemy, and know thyself, and you need to fear the outcome of 1,000 battles. Let's show them who the real rookies are. Smirking, Naruto stood up while the other two were recovering. Using Shunshin to drop into the area between the two, Naruto had just finished a set of seals on the roof, futon, senpuken. Throwing 2 punches, one to each side, Naruto releases 2 whirlwinds that separate them. Moving on Green Lantern first, Naruto delivers a devastating round of punches on his already sore stomach before throwing in a final haymaker to the chin. With Lantern laid out, Naruto could focus on Superman. Leaping away just in time, Naruto managed to avoid a heat blast from Superman. Landing on the side of the building, and standing for a second, Naruto looked down at the Man of Steel. But his eyes were not his own. They were bright red with slits. They were so bright they almost looked like they were glowing, just like when Naruto threatened him. However, before the match could continue, Naruto leapt down, and surrendered. Who I'm beat, who's game for some lunch? Closing his eyes for a minute, and taking a couple breaths, Naruto opened them to his normal bright blue eyes. Walking over to the downed Green Lantern, Naruto pulled something out of his belt. Showing it to Clark, Naruto explained, it is a fast-acting supplement that will restore whatever energy he has used up in the spar. It also has the added bonus of waking him up. Superman nodded. John, can you scan that please? Will do, Superman, the two heard over the speaker, as the fake metropolis dissolved in a light show. Superman turned to Naruto. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just, you don't trust me, Naruto said, cutting him off. And that's fine. It shows you being a good team leader, caring for those you work with. Superman was surprised that he wasn't offended, and smiled a little. Maybe he will work out after all. It is, as he said. John's voice came over the speakers once more. Superman nodded to Naruto, who dropped the pill into the down man's mouth before rubbing his throat. A few seconds later, John woke up. Did we win? John asked Superman, seeing him standing, and Naruto sitting on the floor near him, having moved so as to not startle him when he awoke. Yeah, John, Clark confirmed. But because he surrendered. Damn, I was hoping you'd get in a few good hits for me, Stuart said, standing up. And why do I feel like I could go another 10 rounds, he asked, stretching a bit. Naruto pulled another pill from his belt, standard issue soldier pill. Replenishes energy in a few seconds from ingestion. Also gives you a slight boost in power. Not much, but enough. Placing the pill back into his belt, Naruto stood up, and followed the two out. Well thanks, it's a lot better than waking up in the med bay, John said, thanking him. By the way, nice moves back there, kid. Didn't expect any of that. Even after you glanced at what I'd done, Naruto asked. Plus let's not forget that you both were with Batman last night, Naruto also said to catch their attention. How did you, Kara? Clark asked, then realized how. Naruto nodded in confirmation. She told me all of you went on the little outing. The two looked between each other, as Naruto passed them into the outlook area of the watchtower. He played us like a fiddle, Lantern said, not angry, but annoyed. Yes, he did. Both turned to see Batman walking towards them. He had come up to the tower when he heard about the spar. We watched the fight on the monitor, Bruce said, actually sounding impressed. He is definitely trained to be a shinobi. He used deception on you at first, Batman started to recall. Hiding himself so you couldn't tell right away about the clones. Then he had them engage you while he looked on from above. He was probing you to find out the weaknesses in your attack patterns, never once putting himself in harm's way. It also had the advantage of weakening John, Bruce told them, and they were shocked that he was able to plan something like that against 2 senior members. Why did he forfeit then? Stuart asked, confused. It doesn't make sense. If he had knocked me out that fast, he might have been able to take on Superman for a bit. Hell, he made the big guy bleed. Lantern had noticed the dried blood, and already healed cuts on his teammates' arms. Clark answered before Batman. He got into the fight. His eyes turned red, and slitted. Batman nodded seeing that happen on the monitor. We checked his ability list, Bruce said with them walking over to the rest of the gathered heroes. Diana congratulating Naruto on such a good job. He left that out. He's a mystery, and one I am glad we have under observation now. The other 2 just nodded, as they reached the rest of the group. So, Naruto began. What else is required? 'Cause I am ready to put my feet on the ground again, and get some lunch. Naruto needed to meditate, and balance his body out. Being off-planet away from the natural chakra of the earth was getting to him, especially after the previous day's activities. Just a physical, John spoke, mentioning him to follow. Naruto nodded, and followed after before turning around to look at Kara. Don't peek at me like you did back at my place, Kara-chan. Superman looked to his cousin hoping Naruto was joking, but finding her blushing bright enough to light up the room red. Now I wish he hadn't surrendered. The physical was just that, a physical. John gave him an MRI, tested for disease, and scanned his body with an energy scanner. Incredibly, John spoke surprised by the readings. Everything okay? Naruto asked. John nodded, just surprised by the differences of humans from your reality versus this one. Anything bad? Naruto asked, confused by what might be different. Nothing bad, he confirmed for the blonde, just different. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto nodded before walking out. Time to get some food. He was hungry after the fight, and missing dinner and breakfast. Plus drinking all night really didn't help. Do you even know where food is on this hunk of junk? Kurama asked, and Naruto realized he had a point. Sticking his head back into the room. Hey, where is the food at? John sighed, looking up from some of the readings. I will call Kara, and have her take you to the cafeteria. Paging Supergirl, as well as the others who knew about Naruto, the 2 waited. Naruto opted to wait outside, while John kept looking over the scans. It didn't take long for the paged members to arrive. So why did John page us? Kara asked for the group. I don't know why he paged them. Naruto gestured to the others, but I was hungry, and he said you could show me to the cafeteria, Kara-chan. Kara smiled a little, and nodded, sure can Naruto. However, Kara's eyes narrowed dangerously. Shooting forward faster than he expected, Kara punched him in the gut, hard. Naruto dropped to his knees coughing. That was for making me have an embarrassing conversation with my cousin after you left. Jerk. Naruto stayed on the ground clutching his stomach. Erosenin is laughing his ass off at me right now. I just know it. If it helps, so am I, Kurama said through an amused chuckle. Naruto finally got up, and the 2 headed in search of food. The other League members watched the interaction with varying degrees of emotions. Clark was still unsure about the boy, especially when he found out that he was parading around his house in the nude in front of his cousin. Batman saw him, as what he was, a soldier trying to move on. Green Lantern was starting to change his opinion of him to that of Flash. Diana looked on with amusement, and Wally didn't care either way, just happy to have a new member. So John, Bruce spoke while entering the room. What did you call us for? Turning to face them for a second, John proceeded to throw the readings up on a larger screen. His physical appearance turned up some interesting things, the Martian spoke. First, the MRI showed his bone structure to be almost as dense as Clark's, but half the weight. That got quite a few shocked looks from the veteran leaguers. What else did it show? Batman asked, intrigued. He has antibodies in his system that slow poisons down, so he can live longer before treatment. Plus he heals faster than even you, Superman. Also, just like other humans who cast magic, his body possesses an internal bioelectric field. That's how that attack cut me. He was using magic. Superman was glad to know how he was able to do that. However, it was short-lived. I said didn't say it was magic. He can actually control the flow of this energy and send it out of his body. From what I saw on the video feed, and the description I got of his abilities when creating the profile, he uses the hand signs to move the energy to the right points in his body before expelling it, generally into an element of some kind. But that's not all he can do. Great Hera! Diana exclaimed. What else can he do with this energy? Also, how was he strong enough to actually go toe-to-toe with Superman? Generally, I am the only one that can hit him hard enough for a workout. John showed them the energy scan. His body is filled with pathways. They run to all the different muscle groups. He can channel the energy into them, increasing his strength, speed, endurance, and durability. Batman was the first to get over his shock. It seems his people figured out a way to become living weapons. John's opinion of the kid had once again switched back to his earlier one. So how do we stop him if he goes rogue? Set his rogue status to Omega, Batman said, walking toward the door. Is that really necessary, Bruce? Diana asked, confused as to the reason why Batman would make him just as high as Superman on threat level. Yes, the doors closed behind the retreating Dark Knight. Why? Naruto shouted. Why don't you guys have ramen up here? Naruto asked the downtrodden that his favorite food was not available on the menu. Kara sighed. Seriously? Just pick something else. Huffing, Naruto selected a burger and fries while Kara grabbed a chicken sandwich and salad. The two began looking for a table and Kara found Green Arrow eating his lunch. Oli, she called while walking over with Naruto in tow. Said Blonde, still grumbling under his breath about the lack of ramen, while Kurama was laughing in his mindscape. Setting her tray down, she smirked at him. Still odling Black Canary from afar? Oliver glared at the girl. What's it to you? Laughing, Kara sat down with Naruto following. Nothing. Green Arrow, this is Naruto, Green Arrow, she spoke, gesturing between the two, who shook hands during her introduction. You can call me Oliver or Oli when not on a mission, Green Arrow said while shaking his hand. Well, I go by Naruto, so let's stick with that, he spoke in return with his eyes forming little smiles. The two broke contact, and all three turned to their lunch. Naruto pulled his mask down before eating. Oliver leaned over to Kara and whispered, You were right, he is very cute. Kara blushed, thankful Naruto didn't notice their mini-side conversation. Don't have a superhero name yet, kid? Oli asked, trying to learn more about Kara's crush. Superhero name? Naruto asked, turning his head to the side. Kara spoke up, yes, so no one finds out your identity, and such. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, never needing one before. Even though shinobi records were well guarded, they were always stolen. Oli and Kara both sat trying to think of a name, when all three heard a voice, Shinobi. Turning to it, he came face to face with Batman, his superhero name. Thanks, Batman, Oliver said, mustering the most sarcasm he could. You took all the fun out of it for the kid, and of course he squirmed under the infamous bat lair. Shinobi works, it works really well, he replied quickly to get the glare off him. No matter who it was in the league, Batman scared them all, not because of his methods, or the fact that he didn't show much emotion. It was because everyone in the league believed Batman was the strongest, a human able to fight metahumans. Most wouldn't go within a 5-mile radius, and come out on top. Throwing a keycard down in Naruto's spot, he gave him a look. Your room on the watchtower is across the hall from Kara's. Your rotation starts in a week. He turned to walk away, but was stopped by Kara. What did Clark have to say about where Naruto is staying? She was surprised that they managed to convince her overprotective cousin to let her friend, who was a boy that he had issues with, sleep across the hall. He doesn't know, Batman said, finally turning around. I picked them room. Walking away, he cast a glance over his shoulder at Naruto, who got the gesture. We'll talk again soon. Neither had telepathic abilities, but both could read body language. Naruto knew Batman was going to be paying a visit real soon. God, Oli said, drawing attention away from the retreating bat. That guy is one scary dude. Naruto faced Oli with a questioning look. Does all the Justice League fear Batman? Both Kara and Oliver nodded before the latter spoke up. He carries a chunk of kryptonite on him in case Superman or Supergirl ever go rogue. Kara threw her 2 cents in. He also keeps personal files on the Bat computer on how to take out the whole Justice League. Clark told me about one instance with the Legion of Doom where they managed to almost kill all of the original members using his plans they somehow stole. That begs the question on what the man wants. Kurama spoke up from within, having heard the conversation. I think I know, but we will wait and see. So, Naruto said, gaining the attention of the other two. What started you into the hero business, Oli? With a new topic at hand, the three broke into pleasant conversation for the rest of their lunch. John had managed to teleport Naruto back inside his home with relative ease. Man, I hate that feeling, Naruto thought, still not used to the teleporter. Cry me a river. Shaking his head, Naruto headed for his fridge, grabbing a bottle of water. You know, Naruto said to Kurama, you are gonna have to output some of your power this time. Stepping out of his back door, Naruto made his way through his field. They had grown to about knee-high. It brought a smile to his face, thinking he could create something, instead of just destroying. I am aware, Kurama spoke back, but it won't be that much, not even close to 1/10 of my power. Reaching a spot of ground Naruto left untouched on the edge of his property, he sat down and began to meditate. First he pushed his own chakra outward until it was almost in the visible spectrum. Kurama, taking this as his K, brought one tail up, causing it to glow slightly before stabbing it into Naruto's mindscape. Breathing in and out slowly, Naruto began to draw in natural chakra. It was a slow process. Naruto hadn't meditated in a few weeks. He didn't feel a need to with the calm buzz of Smallville. However, his trip to Metropolis strained his reserves. The city was screaming out for plant life and nature to return. His pursuing fight with Toyman, causing flashbacks and rage to take hold, didn't help matters, and his goading into a sparring match had tipped the scales. His whole chakra system was out of balance, and it would be a few minutes until it returned. Using advanced control that Naruto learned from the toads, he drew in the natural chakra before pushing it outwards, as well, feeling his reserves and Kurama start to fill up with the energy. He smiled through closed eyes. Almost done, Naruto said to his friend. Yes, I can feel that. A few minutes later, Naruto cut off the flow of natural chakra and started to recede his back into his body. The Kyuubi had it easier, simply pulling its tail out of Naruto's mindscape. Once finished, Naruto stood and stretched. So I guess we are talking earlier than later, huh? Turning to a spot in the field, he saw Batman stand up. It is impressive, he said, walking toward the blonde. How you are never surprised to see me. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto led the way back to his place. So what was it you were doing back there? Batman asked. Gathering natural chakra. It is for something I have the ability to do. I have to store it every so often. If I wait too long, I run the risk of my control going to shit. I take it chakra is the name of the bioelectric energy you use? Bruce asked, trying to get more information on his strange abilities. Bio what? Naruto tried to form the word, but couldn't with never before hearing the term. Sighing, Batman asked again, the energy that powers your elemental attacks? Oh, Naruto said, yeah, that's what we call it. It is the combining of physical and spiritual energies that one possesses. They reached the house, and Naruto opened the door. Pulling his mask down, Naruto headed for the living room, taking his first swing from the water bottle he brought with him. Taking a seat on the couch, Naruto turned to the Dark Knight. So what did you want to talk about? You, Batman said, glaring at Naruto. Ask then, Naruto said back, not bothered by the glare. I need to know your weaknesses. It was something you glossed over in your abilities during your profile, Batman asked. Straight, and to the point, I like this guy, Kurama said, but added something, as an afterthought, well, I would, if he didn't give off that creepy Danzo vibe. I told you a lot more last night than I intended, Naruto said. His tone was getting cold, partly because I respect you more than the others, partly because I was drunk, mostly because I am tired of holding on to my past, bearing the weight of what I have done. I wanted peace, I intervened to help a few people, and now I am forced to fight again. Sitting up straighter, Naruto returned Bruce's glare with piercing blue eyes. Make no mistake, I will not kill anyone who doesn't deserve it, but I will not compromise myself or my ideals, even to you. What gives you the right to decide if they live or die? Bruce asked, his voice also becoming ice cold. The lives of those I am protecting give me the right. Naruto stood up to his full height, and glared into the unflinching eyes of the Dark Knight. I read up on all of you over the months I have lived here. I respect all of you for fighting for the weak, and staying true to your code. Crossing his living room distance in seconds, Naruto was right up in Batman's face. But just because you don't actually kill them with your own hands, doesn't mean yours are clean. You've purposely failed to save villains unlike the other League members. Some have survived, others have not. You have no right to judge me or what I have done. Naruto turned from him, and began heading to his room, before turning back to Batman once more. I am not planning on killing everyone I might face in battle for the Earth with the Justice League, but I will not leave that option off the table. Walking into his room, and slamming the door, Batman got the cue to leave. The week leading up to Naruto's rotation was quiet, something he was not going to take for granted, tending to his crops, and enjoying his life on the farm. Though even he will admit that 3 days after his introduction to the League was possibly the most awkward day ever. Kara had stopped by, inviting Naruto over to dinner at the Kent's. Naruto agreed, but what he didn't know was that Clark would be there. Naruto walked up to Kent's door, knocking politely, as he waited for it to be opened. Why am I doing this again? Naruto asked the beast within. Because that girl you have a crush on asked you, and you are a sucker. Sighing, Naruto nodded, and looked up from his musings with the demon, and felt his eyes widen. Standing before him was Kara, wearing a white sundress with sakura petals stitched into it. Like it? She asked, twirling around for effect. Naruto nodded, scared to form words. Come on, silly, she said, grabbing his arm, dragging him in before teasing him a bit. By the way, it's totally rude to not compliment your friend. Naruto said, his brain is finally in gear. I apologize to Kara-chan. You look quite stunning in that dress. He finished, trying to recover some dignity. Kara laughed, dragging him into the kitchen. That's when Naruto saw Clark Kent, the one who currently had a problem with him. Naruto wasn't stupid. He knew why Clark had issues with him, and he knew that it went past his willingness to kill. Hi there, Naruto, Clark said with a fake smile, standing from his spot at the table, and walking forward to him. Sticking his hand out for a shake, Naruto returned it while whispering, do they know? Or do I need to use the Metropolis cover story? Clark actually was surprised that he thought about his family. They know, he said back to him. Naruto nodded. Okay, just wanted to be sure. Clark dropped his hand, and returned to the table with Naruto and Kara following. So getting everything ready for your rotation on protecting the world, Naruto? Jonathan asked his neighbor. Naruto nodded, reaching the table a bit surprised that Clark would talk to his family about league business. Yes sir, I just need to get a few things in the field prepared for when I am not around. Speaking of which, Jonathan-sensei, would you mind terribly looking after it while you're gone? Jonathan finishes for him. Not at all, you're a good man, using your powers to protect. It would be my pleasure. Martha chimed in this time. Clark mentioned you came from another world. What was different about it? To say Naruto was surprised that Clark mentioned that his parents was an understatement. Quite a lot was different, in fact. The best way I can describe it would be a mix between the Dark Ages and current times. Threw the family for a loop. Kara was the one to perk up and ask the next question. You mentioned daimyo once, and I looked it up. They were the lords of the land, right? Naruto nodded at the question. Yup, they were the tippy top of the government for each country. Clark asked the next question. What made it like modern times then? Well, we had things like computers, electricity, TV, running water, but we didn't have cars, or planes, or anything like that, Naruto explained. So how come you like ramen so much, dear? Martha asked next, setting a plate of fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and a few veggies in front of him. Naruto answered her while she was serving everyone else. Well, part of the reason is it was so cheap that I could actually afford it for meals when I bought the instant stuff. The other reason was that the street vendor who sold it handmade would often give me free meals. Something he said caught Jonathan's attention, and he had to ask, you said it was something you could actually afford? Where is your family poor? I mean no disrespect, just curiosity. Naruto smiled sadly at the man. I understand your curiosity, but no, my family wasn't poor. I was. Both my parents died the day I was born, and for the most part one grew up on the streets. None of the orphanages would keep me around for longer than about a week. Jonathan felt ashamed after Naruto's response, and it didn't help much that Martha shot him a scowling glare after serving Kara, who thankfully managed to change the topic of conversation, and dinner was slightly less awkward. But throughout the whole meal, Naruto felt like a fifth wheel, like he was there, but didn't belong. The four acted more like a family than he thought. I guess they would. They raised Superman as their own child, but it didn't take away from his personal loss. He still had no family to call his own. So with one final look around his place, Naruto sealed up his house. Stepping out back with a bag filled with clothes, he paged John. One for pickup, and not even a second later he was whisked away in blinding blue light. Still not used to the teleporter, Naruto groaned. Can't you make it less awkward feeling, Marv? Naruto asked John. John raised his non-existent eyebrow. Marv? Yeah, you know Marvin the Martian? Looney Tunes, Naruto asked, confused as to why John had no clue about his joke. I am unfamiliar with this Looney Tunes. Naruto just stared up at the Martian. Dude, you need to get out more. With a sigh, Naruto walked off the teleporter pad and headed for his room. So what do you plan on doing? Kurama asked. While on this pile of crap, Naruto shrugged his shoulders, walking towards his room. Great boredom, the QB said, not thrilled about this constant loo in his container's life. I never thought I'd miss all the stupid life and death situations you placed yourself in. Yes, they put my life in peril because I am tied to you, but damn it, at least I wasn't bored. Naruto sighed at letting the demon ramble on within this brain. Getting to his room, he took off his bag and started to put some of his uniforms into the provided dresser. With nothing in the room aside from a bed and dresser, Naruto left in search of something to entertain himself with. It didn't take Naruto long before he was standing in the monitor room with John, bored out of his mind. Can I help you with something? John asked the new member politely after he realized he wasn't leaving. Nah, Naruto said, continuing to watch the screens with John. I am bored, and felt like coming to keep you company. You seem kinda lonely up here all the time by yourself. John suppressed a smile. It was the first real time someone decided to just hang out with him. I appreciate that, Naruto, John responded kindly, but while we wait for disaster to strike, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Naruto shook his head. Nah, go for it. Though I can't promise I will answer everything. John nodded. So how did you learn the language so quickly? I am a very powerful psychic, but you don't have those powers. Naruto explained the Kage Bunshin. Remember the clones I used on Superman and Green Lantern during our spar? Seeing John nod, Naruto continued. Well, it is a technique called Kage Bunshin, or Shadow Clone. It actually retains a psychic link to me, and when dispelled I learn everything it learns. John nodded in understanding. That is quite the ability. Naruto nodded. It is more a pain in the ass, really. When I learned English I had a bunch of clones scouring the library trying to make sense of it. Wasn't until I figured out how to make one of the computers work with a Japanese to English dictionary. I was able to hear how words sounded, and from there it made it easier. I first just tried using the dictionary, and thought English sounded weird as hell. Strangest language ever, I think. What's your favorite color, John? Naruto asked the Martian after a brief moment of silence. Come again? Your favorite color? You know, red, green, blue, orange, etc. Naruto asked again. Why do you wish to know? John asked, still confused by the blonde's question. 'Cause you're my teammate, and friend now, and friends know these things. I see, John said, I am not really sure I have a favorite color. Naruto took up a thinking pose, a very ridiculous one at that. He had his hand cupping his chin with his head tilted to the side, quickly removing his hand, and snapping his fingers. I've got it. We will make your favorite color black. I do not believe it works that way, John said, mildly confused by the blonde, and really wondering if this is someone that the Justice League needed under watch. But before Naruto could respond, an alarm went off. Bank robbery. KG Beast, Cheetah, Blockbuster, Copperhead, and Deadshot. John spoke out, reading the names of the list. John looked up to see Naruto standing on the teleporter pad already, just waiting on the people who were supposed to be coming with me. John nodded, and soon enough Naruto was joined by Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and surprisingly enough Batman. Are you all coming just because I am going, or is this a coincidence? Naruto asked, his eyebrow raised at 3 of the members that didn't trust him were coming with him. Coincidence, Batman spoke, before turning to John. John sent us. Batman stopped dead in his tracks, mainly because John was wearing a black helmet that resembled Marvin the Martian's from Looney Tunes. Yes, Batman? John asked, confused. Wonder Woman chimed in through giggles. Please send us down, John. Not bothering with it further, John sent the 5 down to Earth. Arriving in front of the bank, Batman began barking orders. Superman took down Blockbuster. As soon as you breach the walls. Diana, you have Cheetah. Lantern, Copperhead. Shinobi, take out Deadshot. I've got KG Beast. The 5 nodded before heading in, Superman first being bulletproof. He flew right at Blockbuster, who ran at him screaming, pound their heads. Superman caught his fist, before pulling his arm back, pound your own, and smacking Blockbuster with his own fist. A quick jab to the stomach followed by an uppercut to the chin. Blockbuster was sent through the vault bars and into the wall. Wonder Woman was faring well against the agile and applied villainous Cheetah, blocking all of her claw attacks with her bracers. Diana saw her change for a kick, blocking, and then grabbing the outstretched leg, she pitched Cheetah behind her, and into a pillar. Upon seeing Batman, KG Beast began opening fire, forcing the Caped Crusader off course. Not one to easily be beaten, he flung a batarang behind him. Keeping up his new course forced KG Beast into the return path of the batarang, which slammed into his weapon pack, disabling it. With the gun disabled, Batman charged forward. A vicious chop to the collarbone, followed by a roundhouse to the body just below the ribs. Finally a jab to the front of the face. KG Beast was down. Copperhead was leaping from pillar to pillar, avoiding energy blasts from Lantern's ring. Landing on one, and scurrying around it, he jumped at John. I won't go down easy. Baring his fangs in an attempt to poison him, Copperhead wasn't prepared for John to throw up a rock-hard shield. He hit it full force, sliding down. Sure you will. Green Lantern finished with a sly grin at the stupid crook. Deadshot, upon seeing the new League member, laughed a little while opening fire on him. Looks like I got the new guy. Too bad for you, kid. I once almost killed Aquaman. Naruto sighed at the bragging villain, already bored with him. Man, these bullets are slow. Naruto mentally berated the weapons of this world, deflecting the projectiles with a kunai. Lee could sneeze on a kunai by accident, and it would travel faster than the bullets. Deadshot saw what he was doing, and was amazed. You're actually deflecting the bullets with that thing? Naruto's eyes turned up into smiles. Yup, before rushing forward at blinding speed, flipping the kunai around in his hand. He brought it up just as he reached him, smacking the ring into his temple. The force of the blow sent him skidding to where Lantern dropped Copperhead off, with the rest of the downed villains. Nice job, Shinobi, Lantern said with an appraising look to Naruto. Naruto nodded. Once on a mission it was all down to business. But right after he nodded, he felt something. Something strange. Lantern, we need a shield now, Naruto said, turning to face the doorway. The other Leaguers followed his example, and found a purple energy wave coming their way. It hit the shield Lantern threw up, but tore through it, sending thee and away. Where are we? Naruto asked, looking around, seeing bright lights, and everyone looked funny, like they were devoid of color, but not black. Probably another dimension, Green Lantern said, looking around. As well. I don't see any children, Batman spoke up from the rear. That is because a child is responsible. The League members looked up to see a woman glowing golden wearing a face mask, headdress, and a purple dress that looked like it might have been in style a few hundred years ago. Morgan Le Fay, Batman spoke while the other members got ready. Naruto followed along with the lead, but realized if this woman went all out they would be in trouble. One does not get as old as her chakra signature without learning a few things. I mean you know harm, she said. My son Mordred has wrought this treachery, banishing all adults to this shadow realm. He banished you too? Naruto asked, shocked that a son would banish away his own mother. Yes, even after I spent a millennium bathing him, feeding him, preparing him to be king, she spoke, looking off into the distance. Well, now we found out why he did this. Psycho overly attached mother, Naruto muttered under his breath. Green Lantern had to suppress a chuckle while Diana smirked. Where did I go wrong? She asked, bringing a hand to her forehead. But you're a sorceress, can't you just undo the spell he cast? Diana questioned Morgan. But the easy way is never an option. Shaking her head, Morgan explained, he's got the amulet of first magic, he's grown too powerful. Turning her head to face the members, but if we all work together. You want us to defeat your own son? Batman asked, doubting her reliability in the matter regarding her son. Fine, don't trust me, she said, increasing her volume. As she went, let him rule your world, your children, while we are stuck here for eternity. But aren't we stuck here? Diana asked, unsure of Morgan's plan. Not necessarily, she responded, Mordred's spell only banished adults. I don't like where this is going, Lantern said. Naruto silently agreed. It's the only way, she replied, giving them a blank look through the gold mask. We have to do it, Superman said, causing Green Lantern to sigh. Excellent. Morgan brought her hands up, preparing to cast. However, she was cut off by Naruto. Wait, will this affect our powers? She stopped only for a second. It should not. But it is a possibility. Not waiting for any other arguments, she cast the spell on them. Mordred floated down over the children at Disneyland. Seeing a girl crying, he landed in front of her with his hands on his hips, trying to look impressive. Looking up when seeing the shadow come over her, she saw a boy her age. Who are you? Smirking arrogantly, Mordred spoke up, you're king, and this is my kingdom. As he spoke, he lifted up his arms, changing the amusement park into a vast dark medieval castle. Follow me to my throne, he proudly exclaimed, turning back to see the kids unmoving. Glaring at them, they got the message, and followed. Had he looked back a second time, he would have seen 5 figures appearing. Their shadows looked looming, but their bodies being that of 8-year-olds not very intimidating. This better be temporary, Batman said, annoyed. You sound weird, Superman said before his eye winding. I sound weird too. Diana noticed she was taller than the others, especially Naruto, who was the shortest of all. I kinda like this, she said with a smirk, standing a little taller. Green Lantern kept blinking, trying to focus. What's the matter, Lantern? Naruto asked, his voice actually sounding close to what it normally does. I used to wear glasses, as a kid, guess I need them again. The heroes were surprised to see green glasses appear on his face. Wow, John said, surprised he could see. I didn't even try to make these. Superman laughed, while Batman scoffed, I hope not. Naruto growled, and spoke up, we have a mission to do, focus, Naruto said, glaring at the other 4. Turning back to the castle. I have a feeling our king will be in his castle. Move out. Naruto finished speaking before making his way up the castle's path. Batman ran after him, while Superman and Wonder Woman took to the sky. Lantern hung back for a second, redoing his glasses with his ring. Satisfied, he looked up, and shouted, hey, wait for me. It isn't a race, guys. Plastic action figures appeared out of thin air to the sound of fingers being snapped. They dropped from their magical bubble into the hands of a waiting boy. Smiling at his toys, he ran off, replaced by a girl with a crying baby. I think my sister's hungry, she said to Mordred. Snapping his fingers again, a cow appeared with a lead already in the girl's hands. Next, he called, rubbing his face, already annoyed with the responsibilities he took on. Seeing 5 shadows take over his face, he dropped his hand and laughed. The Justice babies. What are you laughing at? Batman shot back, while the others glared. Mother sent you, didn't she? Standing up off his throne, he shot his hand to the action figures he created earlier. Never send a boy to do a man's job. Purple energy engulfed the toys, growing them larger and larger until they were slightly taller than 7 feet. Each one was a different color, with a different weapon. Kill these imbeciles, Mordred demanded of his new minions. The League members attacked. Superman went with the direct approach, flying at the red one in front of him with a mace. But he wasn't fast enough. The mace caught him in the side, and flung him into the gray one with the hammer. Falling down, and trying to recover, he was almost hit before Green Lantern shot an energy beam, gathering its attention away from Clark. Superman went to re-engage the red one from before. While those two were fighting Batman, Naruto made a beeline for Mordred, trying to remove the amulet. A purple one with claws swiped at him, sending him off track, while a black one with a lance took on Naruto. Batman ran up his arm before firing his grappling hook at Mordred, missing. Stupid brat, Mordred shouted at Bruce, who just pulled the cable back, causing the throne to fall on top of him. Getting up from under his throne, Mordred threw a spell at Batman, who dodged it, hoping it would destroy the figure, but instead it disappeared. Batman pulled back to help Wonder Woman. Naruto weaved in and out of the lance thrust, waiting for just the right time. There, he mentally shouted before pulling his arm back, trying to gather energy for the Rasengan. Rushing forward, he plowed the unfinished ball into the armor, causing no damage. What the hell? Naruto said before being hit with the lance, and thrown back. Just great. My control is shot to shit. Well, nothing like the basics. Pulling 2 kunai from the thin holsters, Naruto charged at the armor. At the last second he primed the explosive seals on the handles, jumping up and stabbing them through the tops of each shoulder. Kicking off the armor he back-flipped before landing, with just enough time to watch it explode. Green Lantern was still flying away from the gray one, as it tried to smash him with a hammer. I'll make a laser cannon, he said, diving away from another swing of the hammer. No, I will make a missile launcher. Just pick something, Batman shouted from the floor, as Lantern landed next to him. Throwing his arm forward, a giant green boxing glove shot out, hitting the armor. The force of the impact caused it to break apart. Superman was dodging swings from the mace left and right. He couldn't find an opening large enough for him to get through. Oh duh! Heat vision, he shouted, smacking his forehead before his eyes lit up red, and beams came from them, cutting the armor in half. Oh yeah! Cheering Superman flew off to join the others. The blue one Diana had been fighting had some kind of spear that could shoot ice, but she was far nimbler, and with the use of her bracers was able to avoid getting cut. The armor stopped firing the ice shards, and instead tried to stab her with the point. Bringing both bracers up to guard, Diana was able to hold the point off from killing her. Batman ran at the armor, jumping onto it, and smacking its head to bring attention away from Diana. Grabbing his cap, it pulled him off, reading its spear. Before it could run Batman through, Diana shot forward, delivering a super-powered punch to its leg, sending spiderwebs of cracks through the arm. It lasted for a second later before it crumbled. Batman was dropped from its hold into Diana's waiting arms. You okay, tough guy? She asked with a smile. Let me go. I'm fine, he said, stumbling out of her hold. She frowned at his reluctance. That's not fair, Mordred shouted. Batman threw his cap to the side, leading the others in a charge against the Mystic Child. Get him. Naruto tried to stop the other 4, and failed. Wait guys, don't. Mordred raised his hand, engulfed in purple energy. Playtime was over. Ice covered the League members. You will share the same fate as all my other enemies. Execution. Grabbing the amulet, the floor beneath them started to glow before the 5 of them were dropped into the pit below. The ice broke away on impact. Superman tried to fly up, but was stopped by magical energy bars. He was flung back into the pit with the others from the backlash. Hearing a cranking noise, the 5 turned to see one of the doors opening. Bright red eyes glared out from the darkness, before widening and rushing forward. The others got ready in case the now baby Etrigan decided to attack. Instead it shot straight for Naruto, and climbed up his coat and perched on the back of his shoulder, with just its head sticking up. What the hell is this thing? Naruto asked, gesturing with his head to the demon who was now resting on his right shoulder. Etrigan, Batman said, walking forward. He must have been turned into a baby by Mordred. Walking around Naruto, he wondered, how come the demon clings to you like that? Naruto shrugged his shoulders in an attempt to throw Bruce off, but he knew exactly why. Kurama, did the spell make you younger too? Naruto mentally asked while the other 4 searched for a way out. Both Batman and Clark throwing looks Naruto's way, waiting for a response, and not getting one. Naruto called his demon again. Kurama? Still nothing. Losing his patience, Naruto mentally screamed, as loud as he could, Kurama, where the fuck are you? That's when he heard it. The squeaking voice that replaced the deep, bellowing voice on the demon. I was avoiding talking with you during this idiocy. Naruto almost died laughing at the cute squeaky voice that was now Kurama's. I am a 2,000-year-old demon of death and destruction. Now the strongest of the Binju since we killed that 10-tailed wolf. This is a disgrace to everything I am. Finishing the rant with a cute growl, Naruto lost it and started to openly laugh. Mind filling us in? Batman glared at the blonde, the others nodding. Naruto waved them off. It's nothing, sorry, but I do have a way out of here. Naruto walked into where Etrigan came from, the others following him. Finding what he was looking for, a door Mordred probably created to feed the demon. Well, guess our luck is holding out. The idiot actually thought his plan was going to work, and installed a door to feed Etrigan. The others smirked while both Diana and Clark rushed the door trying to break it open. Naruto sighed seeing them fail at their attempt. That's not going to work, Naruto said, drawing their attention, the baby demon on his shoulder nodding. What do you suggest then? Batman asked, clearly not impressed with Naruto. Sighing, Naruto walked forward before placing his hand on the wall. I can't use over 3/4 of my abilities due to the age spell, he said, shocking them. Unlike Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Superman, my powers were not given to me. I had to train them, work for them. Moving his hand across the wall like he was feeling for something, and because we were reverted in age, my body lost all that training. Finding what he was searching for, Naruto pulled a piece of paper out of one of the pouches on his belt. My first sensei believed in mastering the basics before anything else. From age 5 till 8 I was trained in the basics. Placing the paper on the wall, he primed it with chakra before walking a safe distance away. One of those was chakra sensing. Far enough away, he set off the small charge, blowing the entire door off the wall. Magic. and chakra are vastly different, but operate under the same principles from what I can tell, he said, and the others looked between the blown-off door and him. They did this before he explained further. Everything has a weak point, just need to find and exploit it. Lesson number 10. Nodding, they moved out from the castle, finding children running amok on the street, fighting, scaring each other, and being delinquents. Wonder Woman flew to the gelatin area before raising her voice. That's enough. All the chaos instantly stopped, everyone turning to face her. One girl stuck her finger at her. You can't tell us what to do. You're not our moms. No, but I promise you we are gonna find all your moms, she said with authority, raising her hand with a wagging finger. And I'm gonna tell. The children all look ashamed, the girl from earlier speaking up again. Well, what should we do? Go outside and wait for your parents, Diana said, lifting her hand. She pointed to the exit. Now, the children trudged to the exit slowly, but they were leaving. Diana hopped down the gelatin, sending a smile, and winked to Bruce as she walked off. Your girlfriend sure is bossy, Lantern said, turning to face the Child Knight. Shut up, the Child Knight shot back, annoyed. The five found Mordred sleeping in a goofy bed-like thing. He's asleep, we can take him, Diana whispered. However, both Batman and Naruto spoke up at the same time. No. Looking at each other for a second, they both looked back at the group. Batman speaking up this time. Do you think you can get the amulet off his neck? It might reverse the spell. Naruto nodded. I've got something that should work. Nodding, Batman drew out a plan in the sand. Should that not break the spell, two of us should circle around and flank him, while two head in from the front. Shinobi will be the decoy in case his plan fails. Diana got a shy smile on her face. I'll go with you, Bruce, unless you want me to go with Clark. Whatever, he said, annoyed, ready to get out of his child's body. I've changed my mind. I'm coming with you. Diana grabbed his arm and pulled him off to the flanking area. What's up with them? Clark asked, clearly confused by Diana's behavior. Lantern facepalmed while Naruto looked at him, as if he were stupid. You know, for a dude with 50 different types of vision, you are blind. Turning back to the target, Naruto saw the two in position. Turning to Etrigan, Naruto nodded, and the demon hopped off his shoulder. Forming a set of hand seals, he quietly whispered Kagehenge no Jutsu. He was enveloped in a cloud of smoke, and when it disappeared he was a black crow. Taking flight, he surveyed the best flight path to snatch the amulet. Finding it, he dive-bombed the Boy King, and at the last second pulled up, just grabbing the amulet in his talons, ripping it from the boy's neck. The feeling of being choked woke Mordred up, and before he knew it was cold-cocked by Wonder Woman, while Batman cuffed his hands and gagged him. As they were doing this, they saw the world slowly change back to normal. Naruto landed before poofing back into himself. Oh, he groaned, I hate doing that. The others looked at him funny, so he elaborated, the henge, or transformation, just disguise yourself. The shadow transformation actually turns you into whatever it is, but it hurts like hell when it's something smaller than you. Morgan Le Fay appeared before the heroes, seeing that they had won, what with her being able to return. A bargain is a bargain, she spoke before waving her hands and casting the counterspell. Fully restored, Kurama couldn't contain his silence. Fuck yeah, back to being a 2,000-year-old badass force of nature. Who's bad? Who's bad? Naruto's sweat dropped at the demon's chant. You know I can hear you, right? Fuck off. What's going to happen to him? Batman asked, pointing to the still bound and gagged Mordred. You need not concern yourselves with that, or us for that matter. We will not be bothering you again, Le Fay said, casting a glance at Naruto. But the other league members thought it was to Etrigan. Opening a portal, Morgan pushed her son through before stepping in herself. Well, circumstances aside, it was kinda enjoyable to be a kid again. Diana spoke from next to Bruce. His eyes just narrowed. I haven't been a kid since I was 8 years old. Naruto, sharing the sentiment, spoke up, as well, agreed. They started to walk away while Batman put his fingers to his ear. John 6 for pickup. As they arrived on the watchtower, the older league members saw John minus the helmet. Naruto looked toward him to see if he still had it, and sighed, Marv, you took it off. John picked up the goofy helmet next to him, and proceeded to hand float it down to Naruto with his telekinesis. According to Flash, John said from the Outlook, it is tradition that I say well play. Naruto smirked, taking the helmet, and placing it under his arm. How long did it take before someone finally told you? About an hour after you left. Wally couldn't contain his laughter, John said, cracking a ghost of a smile. Nodding, Naruto headed off to his room, helmet still tucked away. Hey kid, Naruto turned around to face Green Lantern. Sorry for being kinda cold to ya the other day. Naruto raised an eyebrow at him, while John fidgeted with what to say. It's just, he sighed, continuing, we had someone on our team that misplaced our trust, and you have a lot of power, so it was kinda hard for me to trust you right away. Naruto nodded, still trying to figure out what John was attempting to get across. He had a good idea, but wanted to make the man say it. But you kept a cool head on the mission, and were able to help out a lot more than I thought. I'm still gonna be watching you, but for now, you're okay in my book Shinobi, John finished while sticking out his hand. Naruto sighed, figuring out that was going to be the best he got from the resident lantern. Taking the offered hand, he shook it before heading off to his room. John turned back to Clark. You know, you should probably do the same, big man. Clark rolled his eyes. When I am positive he isn't trying to get to me through my family, I might. Still not over the fact that none of them told you about him? Diana asked for her side. It's not that, it's just he could have. Clark never got to finish, as Bruce cut him off. He could have been a pawn for Darkseid, or a new enemy that managed to see through your identity. Batman was still on the teleporter, planning on returning to Gotham, but stayed for a second longer. He's a warrior, not a hero. That scares you, Kent. Deal with it. Turning to John, Bruce nodded his head, before he was sent back down to Earth. Jerk, Clark said before storming off. The others could see where Clark was coming from, but felt he needed to cut the kids some slack. Naruto walked into his room, tossing the helmet onto the dresser. Pulling a scroll from his belt, he unrolled it before finding the storage for his sake. Biting his thumb, and pulling the overly large bottle out, Naruto removed the cork, and that's when the tremors started. Shakingly, he raised the bottle to take a swing. Feeling the burning smoothness of the wave sake hit his throat helped, but it wasn't enough. Quickly sitting on the bed, Naruto tried to settle himself, but his mind raced a mile a minute. Demon, monster, murderer, give us our Hokage back. Mommy, where's my mommy? I will destroy that pathetic village, and everyone that ever lived in it. They forced him to do it, forced him to kill them all. Please, Naruto, when you see him again, send him to hell. Shit, Kurama said, seeing the images brought up in his mind. Kid, snap out of it. Unlock your stored natural chakra. He frantically tried to get Naruto to snap out of it. I'm gonna have to do it, Kurama said to Naruto. Closing his eyes, the demon focused on Naruto's reserves, specifically the 7 main points in the body. Finding the one in the navel area, Kurama slowly opened it, filtering only the natural chakra out into his system. He better appreciate this shit when I am done. This is tiring as hell. Shortly after, Naruto's tremors stopped. I wish I could do something about the dreams this time. Do we have to get more teammates? Naruto asked his sensei, while sitting in the training ground, both reading the orange book that sent Kunoichi into an uncontrollable rage. Yes, we do, Naruto. We have been lucky so far, but each genin squad must have 3 people. You've been alone for 7 years with me. It's time to grow your circle. Naruto sighed, knowing it was pointless to argue with the man, who stood up and closed his book. Well, I do believe now we shall be fashionably late meeting our cute new genins. Let's be off. Kakashi shunned away, with Naruto following the chakra trail. How come you aren't tied to a long, a black-haired, brown-eyed boy yelling at Naruto from his position next to a pink-haired, green-eyed girl? Naruto sighed. Because I was able to get a bell. Naruto turned back to his lunch. He only ate a few bites before sticking out a piece of meat with his chopsticks. Eat, was all he said. The boy was about to refuse till his stomach growled. Taking the offered meat, the boy started to chew while Naruto fed the girl. This went on till the bento was empty. Why did you feed us? Didn't sensei say we weren't allowed to eat? The pink-haired girl asked. Naruto nodded. But we need to be at top strength to win this time. Kakashi Taishu, Naruto said, never break eye contact with Zabuza. There is another one. The tree is 7 o'clock. Kakashi nodded, but Zabuza had heard him, and it looked like it's time to come out and play Haku. You killed him. Naruto turned from the water outside the house they were staying at. He saw both of his teammates there watching, as he washed the blood off him. Naruto nodded. Why? He heard her scream at him, her tone demanding and scared. Sighing, Naruto stood from the water. Hareno Sakura, Naruto said with authority, gathering all of her leftover attention. We are shinobi of Konohagakure. We have been tasked with the mission of protecting Tazuna the bridge builder from harm. Had we let those 2 live, he would have died, and this mission a failure. Naruto walked back to the house, his clothes still wet from the water he washed them in. If you are uncomfortable with that, Naruto said, turning back to look at her, resign from the shinobi ranks when we return. Naruto ran. He ran, as fast as he could. He wouldn't let the traitor escape. His team had been fighting the men Orochimaru sent to retrieve Sasuke. Are you gonna kill him this time? Naruto mentally nodded at his partner. He survived the fight at the hospital a month ago because of Kakashi-sensei. He won't survive this time, Naruto mentally sent back to him. Nothing more was said, nothing had to be said. Naruto shot up in a cold sweat. Looking around, he saw that he was in his room on the watchtower. Taking a deep breath, he noticed that he was on the floor, and his face was sore. Guess I feel it on my face, huh? Kurama snorted. That is an understatement. I am sorry I couldn't do more about the dreams. Naruto got up, picking the bottle up. Thankful it didn't spill too much. Sitting down on the bed, he took a few gulps. It's alright. It wasn't your fault they started in the first place. Kurama felt sorry for his container. Out of all the Uzumakis to bear his cures, this man had it the worst. As a child he was chased and beaten till he was forced into the shinobi ranks. As a teenager he was an accomplished shinobi with a plethora of kills, yet still treated as lower than dirt. And then he was a war hero, the only survivor of Madara's poison's dream. Yet he kept fighting, keep moving forward, never stopping. Out of all the containers to bear his cures, this man had it the worst. And because of that, he was, and would always be the strongest. Kurama, the Kyubi no Kitsune, would pass on to the next world tied to this man's soul. A final unspoken promise to the boy who was stripped of everything he could have become. It is 3 in the morning, and no one has called your room looking for you, Kurama said softly. Put the bottle down, and get some actual sleep. Naruto took one last swing before capping it. He stripped off his clothes before sliding into the bed, placing a kunai under his pillow. Waking up slowly, Naruto fingered the blade under his pillow like normal. Getting his bearings, Naruto saw he was alone, and slowly sat up. Thanks for last night, he spoke to the beast. Anytime kid, anytime. Naruto got out of bed stretching, before grabbing a clean uniform from his dresser. Looking around he noticed there wasn't a shower in his room. I wonder where the showers are? Or is it a communal thing like the AMBU building? Naruto walked from his room, clad only in his boxers, attempting to find a shower. He passed by quite a few women, who all gave his body lustful and appraising glances. Finally reaching the locker room shower area, Naruto picked an open stall, and was about to drop his clothes on the floor till he was stopped by a voice. Well, I heard about it, but it's still hard to believe. Turning, Naruto found the speaker, Green Arrow. Confused as to what Green Arrow was talking about, Naruto spoke up annoyed. Care to elaborate, Oli? Laughing at the blonde, Oliver informed him. Well, you see, you're supposed to come to the shower locker room area in uniform, not strut through the hallways with just your boxers on. Rolling his eyes, Naruto let out a big sigh. I assume that it is indecent to do so? Arrow nodded. Oh yeah, big time. Hell, not even Flash would willingly walk naked through the watchtower, and he's always trying to pick up chicks. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto gave the shower an appraising look before turning to face Arrow again. I take it there is a place for my clothes to not get wet behind the one-way window. Chuckling, he showed Naruto where to place his clothes while he showered so he could get dressed without giving a free show. Not that Naruto minded, however. Why do I get the feeling when Kara-chan finds out this morning that I am going to have a large lump in my head? Because you are. Fair enough. Naruto finished shower, dressed in his clean uniform, and headed back to his room. Walking through the hallway he got many looks and points. Some women were giggling with blushes on their faces, while some of the men smirked at the balls on the new guy. Reaching his room he swiped his keycard to open the doorway, and froze, hand instantly going to the kunai pouch on his thigh. Who are you? He asked into the empty dark room. Eyes scanning it thoroughly, and then he heard a voice. Impressive. A golden ink symbol appeared in his room. When it vanished, he was face to face with a gold-helmeted man wearing a purple cloak. Greetings, young one, he spoke. My name is Dr. Fate. I wish to speak with you, alone. Raising an eyebrow at the man, but never taking his hand off the blade by his side, Naruto walked in, and dropped his dirty boxers in a corner, where he kicked his dirty uniform the night prior. And what do you have to speak with me about? Alone? Dr. Fate didn't so much as blink at the sarcastic tone Naruto questioned him with. Your nine-tailed problem. As soon as he finished his sentence, Naruto had a blade on Dr. Fate's throat, eyes as cold as blue steel. I would choose your next words very, very carefully, Naruto said. Dr. Fate, as a show of surrender, held his hands up. I just wish to talk to Mr. Uzumaki, in private, away from League eyes and ears. Pulling the knife down, Naruto stuck it back in its spot. However, he left his hand on it. If I find out this is a trick, Naruto started, there won't be anything left of you to identify. Fate nodded before clapping his hands, and in a flash of gold the two left the watchtower. Arriving in a strange place, the hairs on the back of Naruto's neck tingled, causing him to tighten his grip on the blade. Did you even bother to clear my leaving with John? Fate nodded at him. Yes, I told him a few of us wished to speak with you alone, about the differences between magic and this chakra you have. A few of you? Also, that wasn't the reason you just told me, Naruto said, starting to pull the blade from its place. It wasn't, but it was a way to keep the other league members from snooping around. A voice cut in. Spinning around, Naruto came face to face with a red-haired man in a brown suit. I am Jason Blood, he said, sticking his hand out for a shake. Seeing it not returned, he sighed, pulling his own back. Look, I know you have no reason to trust us, but please let us talk. Fine then, Naruto said, lowering the blade, but once more leaving his hand on it. Talk. Fate and Blood shook their heads. I am sorry, young one. We must wait a minute for one other. Fine, Naruto snapped, pulling the blade fully from its pouch, and crossing his arms, hiding it. Like I said before, if this is a trick, I will remove you from existence. A flash of light caused Naruto to throw a sideways glance in its direction. Seeing a woman in a blue leotard, black suit jacket, and black fishnet stockings. She had a top hat, as well as a magic wand. Sorry I am late, Dr. Fate. Jason, I got held up with the performance. The two nodded at her, but Fate spoke. It is alright, Zatanna. We only just arrived. Inza, Fate called out into the air. Please be kind enough to bring us some tea, my dear. Sitting on one of the chairs in the circle, he motioned for the others to do so. Naruto followed the other two, and once seeing nothing happening sat down. As well, the blade still hidden by his crossed arms. How do you know about the QB? I specifically left information about him out in my league roster for a reason. Jason was actually the first to answer. We understand why you left the information about him out. However, you came into contact with a demon known as Etrigan during your last mission, correct? Naruto nodded, and Jason continued, the reason the demon followed you is because the QB is a far stronger demon, a being of immense power and destruction. By the hierarchy of demons, Etrigan was bound to you in service. Fortunately for me, he still is. Fortunately, Naruto parroted his tone. Dr. Fate was the one to answer this time. Yes, long ago the demon was bound to Jason through an incident regarding Morgan Le Fay, the woman whose son you fought yesterday. His hold over the demon was wavering, myself, and others keeping it up, but still wavering, until yesterday, that is. Now, he gestured to the man. Jason has no issues from the demon. He is no longer trying to escape, no longer trying to be the only soul in the body. When questioned about it, the demon responded, if a lord, as mighty, as that holds respect for a human, I can do better with you, blood. I have failed to hear a question in all of this, Naruto said, slightly less on edge, but his patience was running out. We apologize for that, Mr. Uzumaki, Zatanna said. We were just wondering how it was you became bound to such a powerful force of nature. She was trying to ease the tension that Jason and Fate created by being extremely vague. What is it with magic users and being so vague? Sure, there is some sense of mystery and all that, but this guy has the power to wipe out half the planet probably. That is a long story, but to simplify it, the village was attacked by the QB. My father took my mother's seal work and used it to seal him within me the night I was born. May we see the seal? Dr. Fate asked. However, when he heard Naruto growl, he continued, we just wish to make sure the demon won't try to escape. Etrigan was constantly pushing at Jason's will. We just want to verify that the QB is not trying the same. It is a very, very, very powerful entity, and until recently I thought only a myth. Naruto snorted. I have held him for 19 years. I contained him while I killed the enemies of my village, while I fought traitors, and while I went to war. He isn't going to come out ever, period. You are positive of this? Jason asked, doubtfully, that a demon of that power would not try and escape. 100%, Naruto spoke with absolute certainty. If he tried, it would kill him instantly. He leaves, I die. We spend an eternity in the Shinigami's stomach. All three were impressed by that. That must be some seal, Zatanna whistled out, the first to collect herself. Naruto nodded, before turning back to Dr. Fate. If that was everything? Fate nodded before clapping his hands together, and Naruto was sent back to the watchtower. Do you think he was telling the truth? Zatanna asked the others there. Came in with a tray of tea followed by Shiera. Has your guest already left, dear? Arriving back in his room, Naruto uncrossed his arms and placed the kunai once more into its holster. Walking to the communications pad on the door, Naruto paged John over in the monitor area. I see you have returned, John spoke in his usual monotone voice. Naruto nodded. Yup, I have, Marv, throwing the Martian eye smiles. Why must you insist on calling me that? John asked in, as close to exasperated as Naruto figured he could. Why must I have a superhero name, and you not have a civilian name? Once more I find based on Flash's rules to say well played, John said, cracking another ghost of a smile. Naruto laughed before shutting off the pad. Laying back down on his bed, he pulled a telltale notebook from his coat before placing some notes in it about a scantily clad magician he just met. To catch up in perverted giggles, Naruto failed to hear his door slide open. He did not fail to hear, however, the loud clearing of a throat. Turning to face the noise, Naruto's face drained of its color. Hey there, Kara-chan, what you up to? He asked his friend, who seemed to have the sweetest smile, but if you looked carefully at her eyes, they unbridled rage. Not much, Naruto. You wouldn't happen to be writing anything perverted about me, would you? Naruto froze, looking between the girl and his notebook. It's a trap, Kurama mentally screamed, as loud as possible, trying to get Naruto to change the subject. So, Kara-chan's rotation has already started again, Naruto quickly asked, taking Kurama's advice. Thanks to Shinigami, he changed the subject. She shook her head. I had John change it to match yours. And when I got here earlier, I heard all this gossip from quite a few ladies about you walking around in just your boxers, Kara said with a smirk, and Naruto stupidly tried to defend himself. Hey, it's not my fault no one showed me where the showers were, or told me that I wasn't supposed to walk to them out of uniform. Or is it your jealousy that the others stared at my body? Naruto asked the last one with a hidden smirk before looking away in embarrassment. But he wouldn't stop there, no, continuing against Kurama's raging advice to stop. Kid, be pro-life responsible. Don't mention anything further. Kids, don't do something stupid. Please. I bet you just can't wait to speak to me again, Kara-chan, you little pervert. That's when he heard a cracking noise. Turning, he saw Kara cracking her knuckles and neck. I am going to enjoy this, she spoke with cold reverence. Naruto gulped before ducking under her, as she tried to tackle him. She wound up flying over him, landing on the bed. And of course once more against the raging of Kurama, for the love of life, liberty, and manhood, shut up. Naruto opened his big mouth. Trying to get me in bed already? We haven't even had our first date yet. Naughty, naughty Kara-chan. That's when he felt it. It came rolling off in waves, and he had to blink, swearing Kara was bathed in red light. That's because she was bathed in the red light of feminine fury, a wrath that not even hell could compare to. Kurama shouted one final word of advice that his host actually listened to. Run. Turning tail, Naruto ran for his life down the halls of the watchtower, chakra-enhanced speed, and all. Naruto was knocking quite a few members over as he went. He didn't bother to apologize, and most understood why, as a very pissed-off Supergirl was hot on his trail. The lack of heat vision being used was to stop others from getting caught by her wrath. No, she would not waste 1 ounce on anybody else. Naruto would get the full taste of it. Hitting the main room of the watchtower, Naruto performed a massive leap, clearing all of the distance from the doorway to the teleporter pad. John. Naruto called to the alien in unadulterated panic. You gotta send me to the safest, most hidden place you know, and then don't send Kara-chan there. Before he could ask why, Naruto wanted John to hear the sickeningly sweet voice of Kara singing from the hallway. Are you two? Come out, and play I. Without another word, John entered the coordinates, and sent Naruto away just before Supergirl came flying through. Looking up at the Martian, you better send me to follow him, John. Wisely knowing when to avoid trouble, the brilliant Martian became intangible before sinking into the floor. Damn it, Naruto, Kara shouted so loud the whole watchtower heard. Sighing, she walked away from the teleporter. I wondered where John sent him. Get out of the Batcave, you moron, Batman shouted at Shinobi, who was clinging to a stalactite in the roof of the Batcave. Hell no, not until I know Kara-chan isn't trying to kill me. Two legs were running, as fast as possible. Heavy labored breathing was heard. She watched him turn the corner, trying to open the door. But his attempt was futile. The handle melted with a quick blast of heat vision. Landing, Supergirl asked in a condescending tone, "What's with the running, Doc? We both know how this is gonna turn out." "I didn't tell anyone," the salt and pepper-haired man said, backing up. "I swear." "Good," she responded, "then you're the only loose end." And that was when she heard the readying of weapons behind her. Turning, she finds two heavily armored and armed men on the roof above her. Dodging a laser blast from the rifle, she uses super speed to ascend to the roof. Taking the man's gun, she brutally beats him over the head with it, blood flying everywhere, before pushing him off the roof. The second one fires at her repeatedly. Dodging the blast, she flies forward, punching his head. Seeing it snap back, and hearing the crack, she lets out a sinister smile. Before narrowly dodging more blasts from above, three more men, this time with jetpacks. Taking to the skies, the three follow after her with their jetpacks. She leads them on a chase through Metropolis before spinning around and cutting one down with her heat vision, smiling in ecstasy as his two parts fall to the city below. "Don't tell me that's the best you got?" she asked mockingly to the remaining two. Both continued to fire on her, hoping to take her down. "I grow tired of this," she said, rushing forward, slamming into one of them. He was sent flying into a building. His jetpack exploded on impact, leaving nothing but ashes. And then there was one, once again moving at superhuman speeds. She positioned herself behind him, grabbing his chin and the top of his head. She snapped his neck with a quick jerk. With the human operator dead, the jetpack and me sack fall before hitting a building, exploding, leaving no trace of the man behind. Using her hearing, she tracks her target to an abandoned warehouse, breaking down the door with a well-placed punch. "Knock knock, Doc," taunting her target. She was enjoying this very much. Walking forward, she is surprised to see a door open. Out rolls a machine, with claws, and a green-tipped lance. It quickly grabs her wrist, lifting her into the air, rushing her into the wall. It tries to cut her with a saw. Grabbing the spinning saw, she rips it off the robot before throwing the still spinning weapon into it, destroying it. That wasn't a very nice, Doc. Walking forward to where the robot came from, the man from before was cowering in the corner. He knew there would be no mercy. Eyes lighting up like fire, she gave one last vicious smile. "You can scream now if you want," firing the blast. A final scream was heard. Kara screamed, throwing the covers off herself. Clutching her legs tightly to her chest, she tried to contain her body trembles. Taking a deep breath, she looks up in an attempt to clear her mind. That can't be good, she thought, seeing the still smoldering holes punched through her ceiling. "Kara, are you alright?" Martha shouted, running into the room with her robe on. Jonathan shortly followed, trusty shotgun in hand. He may not have superpowers like his son and niece, but he was dead on with his shotgun. Plus it helped when you had buckshot. What happened, sweetie? Martha asked, sitting on the bed and holding the poor girl, shaking her head and leaning further into the hold. Kara whispered, I don't know. Jonathan smelled something burning and looked to the ceiling. Well, whatever it was, it caused your powers to act up. Kara nodded. I am really scared, Pa. Jonathan nodded, leaving the two alone. Everything's gonna be alright, dearie, Martha said, rubbing her back. He's probably just calling Clark. Kara nodded, still in shock over the dream. It felt so real. I enjoyed killing them. I feel so disgusting. Jonathan returned shortly after. Clark wasn't home, but I left him a message. Kara nodded, still she didn't feel good. Do you mind if I flew around for a bit? She asked, just to clear my mind. Jonathan was about to say no, however Martha beat him to it. Just for a bit, dear, she said kindly to the girl who was almost a daughter to her. Just be careful, okay? Kara nodded before she got off the bed and flew out her window. Why did you agree to that, Martha? Jonathan asked, confused at his wife's actions. Shouldn't we keep her here till Clark can come? Sighing, Martha stood up from Kara's bed and walked to her husband, kissing him lightly on the lips. Jonathan, as a husband and father, I couldn't ask for a better man. But right now she needs someone that cares for her more than the three of us. Jonathan raised an eyebrow tiredly. If you're talking about who I think you are, my response if they aren't together. Martha smiled kindly at her husband, patting him lightly on the cheek. Yet, dear, they aren't together yet. It didn't take Kara but a minute to land at Naruto's, knocking lightly on the door. I hope he hears this, she said, more to herself than anyone. But after a while of hearing no movement, she turned to leave, and that was when she felt cold steel on her neck. Naruto was once more resting in his closet. While on the watchtower he slept in the bed, but it was never truly restful. Keeping his sensing abilities up while he slept was no easy feat, but was something he was used to after spending so much time behind enemy lines. However, when he was at home, he could sleep soundly in the comfort of his closet, because his seal array would awake him with trouble. And that was exactly what it did. Eyes shooting open, Naruto began to move with purpose. Pulling out the kunai he kept with him, he silently slipped out of his window without making a sound. Knowing it was safe, his array was only going off at the back of the house. He moved across the rooftop with speed and deadly silence, a skill only a true accomplished assassin could perform. Finding an intruder at his back door, he leapt behind them, moving the blade to their throat. However, his eyes went wide when the intruder turned around, looking to leave, and he saw who it was. Kara-chan, Naruto asked, what are you doing here, and in your nightgown? Looking her up and down, finding her quite cute in the pink nightie. Do you mind lowering the blade? She asked, actually scared that he snuck up on her, and that all she could see was his hand along with the blade on her throat. Lowering the blade from her neck, Naruto stepped out into the moonlight. I am really sorry about that, Kara-chan, Naruto said apologetically, feeling a little ashamed that she had to see this side of him. But once more, I need to ask what you're doing here. Do you mind if we talk inside? She asked him, and Naruto could tell something was wrong. She was tense, biting her lip, and her eyes held nothing but fear and worry. Nodding, Naruto pressed the hand seal to his door before opening it, allowing the two to enter. Mentioning for her to take a seat, Naruto grabbed a teapot and filled it with water. So, turning on the stove and placing the filled pot on it. What's going on that has you here this late? Out of uniform? Sighing, Kara began retelling him of the dream. How real it felt, how she felt, how disgusted she was for killing them, but enjoying it. The way she talks about it, it almost sounds like Kurama never got to finish that statement, as Naruto cut him off. Like my clones. Exactly like my clones. Naruto sighed, grabbing the pot off the burner and shutting it off. Pour the water over the leaves before setting it off to the side. I have a feeling it might be Kara-chan, he said, which got her attention. However, he continued before she could ask anything. I would like you to speak with John and see what he has to say. He picked the leaf holders out of the glasses and gave her one of them. In the meantime, he said, grabbing her free hand and dragging her to the living room, let us enjoy some nice tea and Jerry Springer. Flipping on the TV he had and sitting down on the couch, Kara smiled at him before joining him. When did you get the TV? She asked, not remembering it there before his rotation started a month ago. 2 days ago. I felt I needed something to do now that the crops are pretty much all grown, he answered. Nodding, she pulled her feet under her and laid her head on his shoulder. You know all of this is staged, right? She asked, not noticing him tense up. Yeah, I do, he said, filtering out the discomfort in his voice from her proximity. I told you she likes you. That was why she got her rotation switched. That's why she invited you to dinner with her family. That's why she is here tonight. One night she had a terrible dream and was not with family. But no, does anyone ever listen to the mighty Kyuubi? Nope, Kurama mocked in his head. But it gives for good entertainment, he told her before responding to his demon. Shut up, you overgrown ball of fur. We are just good friends, he said back to the demon, blushing. Are you trying to convince me of that, or yourself? Naruto didn't have a response to Kurama's question, and let the demon make his own inferences from his silence. Kara sighed, enjoying the warmth she was feeling being next to her crush. This is nice, she thought, snuggling closer to him. Clark had just finished with bringing in one of his rogues, after rescuing Lois from the jaws of death again. I am starting to see why Bruce won't ever date anyone, Clark muttered to himself. He knew without a shadow of a doubt that Lois Lane loved him, and he loved her. He just wasn't aware that once their relationship was made public she would be in even more danger than before. Hell, he muttered once again, I can't believe there was even more danger than what she already put herself in. Sighing, he stripped off his uniform before grabbing his PJs. Heading to the kitchen, he noticed his message machine was flashing. Who could have called at his hour? He asked himself, seeing that it was 5 in the morning already. Pressing play, he headed for his kitchen to grab a bite to eat before getting some sleep. You have one new message, his machine rang out. Left at 3:30 am, Clark, it's your father. Whatever he was about to eat never got made, as his head whipped around to face the machine. Kara had a nightmare. It caused her powers to act up, and she shot a hole through the roof with her heat vision. We don't think it was anything major, but wanted you to come by and check on her. Faster than he thought possible, Clark was back in his costume and flying out his window. Once high enough above Metropolis, he hit supersonic, making a beeline straight for Smallville. Making record time, he touched down behind his parents' house 30 minutes after leaving. Ma, Pa, he called out walking into the house. Both parents, being raised on farms before becoming farmers themselves, were already up, tending to things. Ah, there you are, son, Martha said coming from the living room. How are you? I am fine, Ma, he said rushed. But where is Kara? Is she alright? Clark was worried. He had never had a dream cause his powers to act up. This could be something serious. She is fine, dear, Martha said, claiming her son. She asked for some time to clear her head, and flew out right after we called you. Clark nodded. Is she upstairs? I'll wake her up, and take her to see John on the watchtower. He should be able to figure something out. No, Jonathan said coming in from the fields, hearing the last of Clark's questions. Your mother said she was probably going to see Naruto. And based on how long she has been gone, I am inclined to agree. Clark's eyes narrowed to dangerous slits, extremely not happy that his last blood relative went over to a boy's house in the middle of the night. A boy that could actually hurt her, while her powers were acting up. That didn't sit well with the Man of Steel. Turning, and ready to storm out of the house, and give the boy a lesson he wouldn't forget, he was stopped by his mother placing an arm on his shoulder. Clark Kent, she raised her voice, something she never did. You will allow your 19-year-old cousin her privacy while she is with the boy she has a crush on. Surprised by his mother's tone, he fought back. Ma, he is dangerous. Remember, I told you about his past after dinner. He is a killer. He has been an assassin since he was 5. How can you be so calm about this? He is a good man, Clark, his father spoke up, and while he may have been an assassin once, that was in his world. Where you also told us that their fighting force, these shinobis, were also the soldiers. They did more than just kill. That doesn't make what he did right. Clark snapped at his father. He is a killer. Why does everyone? However, he didn't get to finish. A resounding slap filled the home. Father and son turned to see Martha Kent with a look of fury in her eyes, after she slapped her son across his face. Then your father is one too. Or did you forget he fought for this country in the Korean and Vietnam Wars? Walking closer to her son, she hugged him. I am sorry for that, Clark. For 35 years we have raised you as our own son, and have loved you as our own. Stepping back, she smiled at him. You have grown into a fine man, one who protects this world from threats we would be helpless against. But you have never been to war. A war like your father has been to. She smiled one last time before leaving the two alone in the kitchen. She is right, you know, he said, pouring himself a glass of sweet tea, and sitting at the table. When we were over there, it wasn't pretty, son. I haven't talked about it in quite some time, and I am still not comfortable with it. Taking a sip, he gave his son a square look. We had our orders, and did what we were supposed to. Naruto is a fine young man, one who is a lot like you. Do not hate him for his past. Standing, his father placed a hand on his shoulder, instead guiding him to a new future. In the meantime, I have crops that need tending to. With his piece said, Jonathan left the kitchen, and his son, Clark, stood very uneasily on his feet. I never thought of it like that. He thought releasing his parents and Lantern were right. I have been treating him poorly. Clark left the house slowly, making the flight to Naruto's with a different purpose in mind. Landing, Clark saw Naruto on his back porch drinking out of a glass. So, Naruto said from his seat, I take it you heard? Yeah, Clark said. How's she doing? Pretty good considering what the dream was, Naruto said, standing. However, before he could invite him in, Kara stuck her head out the door, and completely missing her cousin asked, how is it even possible to bend that way? Then she noticed Clark there with a raised eyebrow, and Naruto sweating bullets. "What you reading, Kara?" Clark asked, noticing she was holding an orange book of some kind. "Oh, nothing at all," she said quickly, sticking it behind herself, blushing. "Well, if you want to come back to the farm and get dressed, we can head to the watchtower," Clark said, noticing from the beginning she was still in her nightgown. "Yeah, sure, give me just a minute, and I'll be out," she said, racing back into the house. Clark turned back to Naruto. "Do I even want to know what she was reading?" Naruto shrugged his shoulders, figuring that was gonna be the best he got. The two waited in silence for Kara. "You know," Clark said, breaking the tension, "I had every intention of making a rash decision when I found out she came over here at 3:30 in the morning. It would have ended badly," Naruto calmly said from his porch. "How so?" Clark asked with a raised eyebrow. Naruto pointed at his closed door. "She would have had more than words with you, see." Clark had to mull that over in his head. "I guess you're right." Naruto moved to lean against the railing. "I will be coming with you to the watchtower." "Why? This isn't your concern?" Clark asked, still a little jaded by Naruto. Naruto sighed before glancing back at the door. "If it is what I think it might be, you will need my help. Also, it is my concern. She is not only my friend, but brought this to my attention, making it my concern." Both kept waiting until Kara came out, clutching 2 orange books with her. "Alright, let's get back to the farm," she said, smiling, and started to float slowly to the Kent's farm. Superman followed in the air while Naruto strolled behind them. Turning back to face him, Kara asked, "Aren't you going to change out of that?" "Why?" Naruto questioned, tilting his head to the side. He found nothing wrong with his current attire. Clark was the one who answered, "Because you are wearing frog-printed pajama pants and a black muscle shirt." "Toads." Both turned to face him. "They are toad-printed, and I see no problem with them." Shrugging, the two continued on. It didn't take long for Kara to get dressed, and the three to be beamed to the watchtower. After explaining what happened to John briefly, he asked Naruto and Clark to take over the monitor station while he spoke with Kara. And that is where we find the two, currently looking at the sensor array, news stations, and other equipment the watchtower had for picking up trouble. "You know, if you keep looking at me like Lois might get jealous." Naruto finally spoke up from his position at one of the consoles. "Very funny," Clark responded. "So you gonna talk, or just keep making me question your sexuality?" "When we first met," Clark finally said after a pause, "it wasn't under the best of circumstances. I find out this guy who I've never heard about is in Metropolis, and then I learn you've killed people. It wasn't the best way to present yourself." Sighing, Clark was still trying to find the words to say, however Naruto beat him to it. "And people have pointed things out to you, but you still do not like me. However, it is no longer due to my past." Nodding, Clark picked back up. "Correct. I can't control what you did in the past, or even begin to understand what your Earth was like. But I don't like the fact that you are so close to my cousin, and can hurt her more than emotionally." "You are speaking about when we spared, and I injured you?" Naruto asked, already knowing the answer. Clark nodded, confirming Naruto's thoughts. "You don't have to like me," he said, causing Clark to give Naruto his full attention. "However, I refuse to be treated like a child, or somewhat behind the ears rookie. I have seen and done things that would make Batman look like a saint, and you already have enough friction with him," Naruto said, reminding Clark of Batman's plans in case the League members ever go rogue, and the incident with the Legion of Doom. "You are right," Clark said, "but teammates need to have trust, and I do not trust you. Not yet, but I understand we can rely on you." "Then that is all I ask for. Trust is earned, not given." And with nothing further to be said, the two returned their full attention to the screens before them. It wasn't much longer till Kara and John returned. John asked to speak with Clark, the two leave Naruto and Kara alone. "So," Naruto said, "what did John say?" Kara sighed before looking to see if there was anyone else who could watch the monitors. "Hey, Mr. Terrific, can you watch the monitors till John gets back?" she asked the other hero who was down by the teleporters. "Sure can, little lady." Kara grabbed Naruto and pulled him away from the station and down the familiar hallway leading to the cafeteria. "I am hungry, so we are gonna get some food." It didn't take long for the two to reach the cafeteria. Grabbing lunch, the two saw Green Arrow munching on some fries, glancing at Canary out of the corner of his eye. "You know," Naruto said, sitting down with Kara, "if you keep staring at her like that, you just might burn a hole through her." "Very funny," Oliver said, turning to them. "So I'm not ruining your date sitting here, am I?" "Aren't we the ones who sat down with you?" Kara asked the archer. "Semantics," he responded by waving off her question. "Anyway," Kara said, taking a bite from her salad, "I got put on the inactive roster, until John can find out more about this dream I had." "Dream?" Arrow asked. Kara elaborated to him what had happened. It just felt so real. Naruto put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Dreams can do that," Oliver said, once more glancing at the blonde-haired woman slightly to his right. "Like I had this one last night," trailing off while eating some more fires. The two sitting with him rolled their eyes. "I think it's more than just a dream," Naruto said, voicing his internal thoughts for the first time. What do you think it is then? Kara asked. She had been wondering what he thought they might be since early this morning, but waited like he asked till after she met with John. Repressed memories, he threw out into the open, or something else, and I really hope it is repressed memories. The other occupants at the table both raised eyebrows, hoping he was going to continue. Until a new voice cut in. I would agree with the blonde on this. All three turned to face the voice, and found Question standing there. Sorry, didn't mean to eavesdrop. You're right, Kara, and Oliver said. Neither liked the strange man that much. Why do you two think that? Kara asked the conspiracy nut, and her friend. For one, the dream was to, Naruto began. You had lingering feelings to the dream. You didn't just imagine killing someone, you felt it, like you were there. That actually scared Kara a lot, to think she had actually killed someone, that's what John said. But I mean, when could I have killed anyone? Simple. There is one time you could have that no one would be able to recall. One gap of time that could be rewritten. Question added, mentioning the others to follow him. The three stood, and made their way out of the mess hall. When you needed surgery, Question spoke, you were taken to SDR labs. Most of the time there, they kept you sedated. That is a large gap in your memories. Yeah, right. Arrow spoke up, trying to be the voice of reason. All this dream is probably a calling card to let her know not to eat nachos before bed. Peanut butter sandwiches, Question remarked with little hesitation. Wah, do you go through my trash? Kara asked, horrified that he knew what she ate, as a bedtime snack. Please, I go through everyone's trash, he said, swiping his card, and opening his door. Speaking of which, he turned to face Naruto. Do you mind throwing something out so I can root through it? 1. That's a fucking creepy question to ask. And 2. No, Naruto said, crossing his arms over his chest. Reaching back to ancient Egypt, there has been a single cabal of powerful people directing the course of history. But the common man chooses to believe they don't exist, which aids their success, Question said, pointing at his boredom. The other three just gave him a look. I understand plenty about shadow governments, Naruto said with certainty. But, as we looked at the Question walls, he was very doubtful of the man. But the spread of coffee bars? Boy bands? Really? Question nodded. What does this have to do with me? Kara asked, confused. If I am right, you are a part of it. Question left his room, heading for the teleporter. You are gonna need my help. I am coming with. Arrow was the first to speak up. Whoa, who said we need you, and where are we going? SDR Labs, Naruto spoke up while walking with Question. It is the only place where Kara-chan has had a gap in her memory. The other two ohayed before following Naruto, and Question. Are you finally gonna change? Kara asked the blonde, who was still in his toed pajama pants and black muscle shirt. Naruto sighed before a tattoo suddenly appeared, lighting up, and in a puff of smoke Naruto was in his costume, always prepared. You sound like Batman, Arrow said, with them reaching the teleporter. John, Naruto said, calling up to the Martian, please send us to SDR Labs. Nodding, John sent the three away. The four heroes were seen at the SDR Labs facility outside of Metropolis. They were meeting with Professor Hamilton about Supergirl's stay in their facility. This is where we treated you, Hamilton said, showing them a specialized bed. You were on life support the whole time, and heavily sedated, I might add. Placing a hand on her shoulder, Hamilton gave Kara a look. I promise you, you weren't running around on violent missions. While Hamilton was speaking with Kara, Naruto, and Question were looking at some of the equipment in the room. Question was listening the whole time to the professor. However, Naruto turned out to be the professor, as a particular machine caught Naruto's eye. That looks a lot like the machine Orochimaru used to steal, Kurama told his partner, as the two looked it over. I agree, Naruto thought back while memorizing the serial number, but I will need Batman's help to confirm it. Well then, Professor Hamilton, Question spoke up from the other side of the room, where he and Shinobi had been getting a closer look at the equipment. Maybe you can explain why her memories led her here. I think I can explain it, Hamilton said. Turning to face Supergirl, he asked her a question. You mentioned some kind of torture device, with a long probe and green tip. Kara nodded. Yes, Professor. Nodding, Hamilton moved away from them, opening a door in the lab. The four were treated to the robot from her dream. That's it, she said. But then with a closer look she realized it was smaller. But why is it smaller? Because it's not a torture device, Hamilton said, as the robot moved forward. It's a surgical robot. That is a kryptonite-tipped lance. It was the only way to operate on you, Supergirl. He finished sending the robot back into the closet. He turned to face her. That robot saved your life. As for the rest of your dream, we humans are used to being vulnerable. However, for you, surgery must have seemed terribly invasive. Once more trying to comfort her, he laid a hand on her shoulder. I believe your mind created a scenario of fighting back. The four left the building, with Arrow being the first to break their silence. So I think that answered everything. A little too well, Question remarked. Arrow was about to retort, however Naruto spoke up. It didn't answer a damn thing. The three others turned to face him. What do you mean, Shinobi? Kara asked, confused, that he sounded so angry. Had what he said been true, Naruto said, continuing to walk, the man in your dream would have been him, not some stranger. Also there wouldn't have been armed guards. Explain then how she killed that guy in her dream. Or for that matter why she even had it, Arrow said, arguing back. However, before more could be said they were attacked. 2 military choppers came around the side of the hill, one with a robot attached to the bottom of it. Launching from its chopper, the robot propelled itself right at Supergirl, knocking her away from the other 3, who all scattered when bullets started to rain down on them. As the choppers landed, men started to run out, firing off with laser rifles. Arrow and Question hiding behind a boulder while Naruto weaved and dodged the fire. Question made a hand sign to Green Arrow, who nodded and pulled a smoke arrow from his quiver. Launching it into the air, it exploded over the armed men, who started to spread out and find the heroes. Oliver jumped over his boulder, firing an electric arrow straight into the man's gun, causing him to drop it and his muscles to lock up. Arrow finished him off with a right hook to the face. 2 others were headed around the other side of the boulder when the one in the rear was picked up off his feet. Question brutally punched him in the face before smacking him over the head with a smaller rock. Dropping him back on the ground drew the attention of the other one. Running to his comrade, he noticed his grenade belt was missing, until Question dropped it, along with the removed pins. Grabbing his comrade, he ran out of the area, just seconds before the explosion. Meanwhile, Naruto was bored. Fighting these men was the equivalent to fighting a civilian in his mind. Why aren't we allowed to kill again? Kurama asked Naruto, just as bored as him. Because it would be troublesome to deal with the League. But we might just kill something before the day is out. Growing tired of them, Naruto used Kawarimi with a bush between the group of 4 trying to kill him. Appearing in a cloud of smoke, Naruto grabbed 2 of the 4 guns right out of his hands before crossing his arms, smacking them in the head with the rifle. Ducking under renewed and closer fire, Naruto delivered 2 punches to the remaining 2, hitting them right in the solar plexus and knocking the wind out of them. Man, is this boring, he said, grabbing them one by one before hurling them into the helicopters, the metal outside to be exact. Knocking them out, Kara kicked the robot off her, before flying back at it, landing a few solid jabs on the metal droid, which wasn't rated for the abuse, and started to spark up. Flying forward with super speed, Supergirl landed an uppercut to its main computer, and finished it off. Oliver launched an explosive arrow taking one of the choppers out, while the men all piled into the other one, and escaped, grabbing the 4 downed men in front of it. Tell me again why we let those bozos live, Naruto asked, a bit annoyed. Because they were definitely kill-worthy. They weren't just supervillains or thugs, that was military. You know why, Shinobi, Kara said, sending him a glare, upset with his wanting to kill them. How do you know they were military, Arrow asked. They were well grouped, and had a plan. Most of the villains you guys run into wouldn't be that well linked, nor care for comrades as much, Naruto said, inspecting them damage. As for not being thugs, I don't care how well funded their organization is, or how new to this world I am. There is no way they could have the gear these guys had. Nor a standard Z8 combat trainer, Question said, holding the robot's head which housed its computer. What does all this mean? Kara asked, even more confused than before. Yeah, why would someone attack us with something we buy in bulk? Arrow asked, as well. The army, Question answered. And you know who commissioned the Z8 project? Without waiting for them to guess, he spoke up again. The man who put you in the hospital, Supergirl. General Hardcastle, she asked, very surprised that the man had access to this stuff. Isn't he retired now? Gone, Question said, leaning in further to her, and hoping to be forgotten. Kara sighed. John, can you bring us back up? Will did Kara, and the 4 returned to the watchtower. Question stepped off the teleporter, with Kara and Oliver following him. I have his current location in my room. Follow me, and we will pay the ex-general a visit. However, Kara noticed Naruto still standing on the teleporter. John, he spoke up from his position, is Batman currently in the Batcave? John checked with the Dark Knight before responding. He is. Send me down, Naruto said, causing 2 of the 3 from his group to raise an eyebrow at him. Why do you need to go there? Question asked the man, more than curious as to what he found at SDR Labs. A hunch was all he said, which left more unanswered. After a long pause with no further questions, Naruto nodded to the Martian. When he was gone, Kara spoke up. What was that about? My guess, Question said, starting the trek to his room, the other 2 following. He saw something at SDR that we all missed, and needed Batman's expertise to figure out what. Makes sense, Arrow said, but what could it have been? Question shrugged his shoulders before swiping his card to open his door to the others once more. Who knows, but following up on 2 different leads could be a good idea. Divide and conquer, right? Kara asked. I wouldn't put it like that, Question said, opening his laptop, but yes. After a few minutes typing away at the keys, while Kara and Oliver both looked at his spiderweb board of conspiracy. Ah, here we are, he spoke up, gaining their attention. Oklahoma, way back in the middle of nowhere. Standing, he headed for the door, the other 2 following, both getting tired of his eccentricities. "Shinobi," Batman spoke out to him, as the light from the teleporter died down, "what did you need my help with?" Walking up, he saw a pen and small notepad by the computer. Taking both, he wrote something down on it before turning it over to Batman. "I need to know if that machine is a DNA replicator," Naruto said, tone 100% business. Nodding, Batman turned to the massive computer in front of him before typing away at great speeds. "Might I ask what this is in relation to?" The blonde barely even regarded him watching the screens. As the man typed, "You know exactly what this is in regards to." Bruce nodded. "I do. But why did this machine lead you here while the attack led the others to Hardcastle?" "The attack was set up to send us that way," Naruto said. "Military equipment, attacking us right as we left SDR, the place Hardcastle put Kara in. It doesn't add up to him attacking, especially if he hates Superman and Supergirl so much." Bruce nodded, and responded, he wouldn't risk using her as a Black Ops weapon. Still typing away, it suddenly all clicked. However, before he could speak, Naruto cut him off. "Yes. How do you figure? And what do you plan on doing about it?" Then Batman asked, turning his full gaze off the screen, and to Naruto, "You have your shinobi rules. No killing." That was when Naruto turned fully to Batman, and his tone spoke volumes about both his anger at the situation and his feelings for Kara. "I figured it out almost instantly. I retain a psychic link to all my clones. Everything they learn, I learn. Everything they do, I experience. They created a copy of her to be a living weapon for them. Mostly in case any of you go rogue would be my guess. They targeted her because she is one of the younger League members, and they thought she was the only one who would match Superman." Naruto's eyes narrowed dangerously at Bruce. "Besides, I won't be killing anyone. That is a ridiculous loophole to try and use," Batman said, his voice taking on an aggravated tone. This coming from the man who killed all of Ivy's precious babies when they tried to marry high society individual and take their fortunes. "Once again, I feel the need to remind you. I read up on you, all of you. Do not forget the news picks up quite a lot of the adventures even you have been on. They were not alive." Once more Naruto cut him off. "Yes, they were alive," Naruto spoke. "They had thought, free will, and even dreams. Yes, they were created artificially, but it doesn't change the fact. They were alive, you killed them. As I said before, your hands aren't as clean as you believe." That caused Batman to falter. Deciding to end the conversation, he once more turned to the computer. Finally, after an awkward silence, Bruce pulled up the machine. "You were right, it is a DNA replicator." "How did you know?" "A traitor to our village. His poisoned dream to learn all the world, and to live forever, had a machine that looked very similar to this one." Nodding, Batman continued to track down its origin, and figure out how it wound up in SDR labs. "How do we even know he's home?" Arrow asked, as the trio approached the small cottage. "Simple, we find out," Question said, opening the door, and stepping inside, the other two flanking him in case the meeting went south. The lights were off except for a small fire going in the fireplace. "I always knew someone would come to shut me up one day, just I thought they'd be from the other side." The lights switched on, and they found Hardcastle pointing an odd-looking gun at Supergirl. "It fires a pellet with kryptonite suspended in a liquid gel," he said, raising it higher. "It only gets one shot, but it is designed for maximum scatter alien. I think it will do the trick." Kara's eyes widened at his description of the weapon, shocked that the government would go this far to kill her or her cousin. "Look, we just want to talk," she said, arms raised in surrender. "Forgive me if I don't believe you," Hardcastle said, not lowering the weapon. "If my memory serves me right, your kind can be fickle." As he finished speaking, he looked ready to pull the trigger, and that was when Oliver moved in front of Supergirl. "Go ahead, waste your magic bullet. Then all you got left is a pissed-off Supergirl," Arrow said from his position in front of her. Seeing the ex-general falter for a second, Question knocked the gun away from the man, and onto the floor, while Oliver moved in, and grabbed his arm. "Now be a good host, and tell us a story." Nouveau Gen, Batman finally spoke up after an hour of searching. They were the ones to send it to SDR, on SDR's request. "What does Nouveau Gen specialize in?" Naruto asked, already having some idea. "They specialize in bioweapons for the government. Currently they have been bankrolled for some big Black Ops projects." "If it's Black Ops, how did you find out?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Batman raised his hand to transactions from a few years ago. "All these funds transfers. There is no reason behind them. Just money showed up on their books. The only way the IRS would overlook that would be government-backed funds." Naruto nodded. "That makes sense." Standing from his position next to Batman, Naruto placed his hand to the communicator in his ear. "John," he spoke, "brought me up." "It will be a moment, Naruto," John responded back. "You are still planning to do this then?" Batman asked seriously. "Whoever created it wanted a living weapon," Naruto said with his tone taking on a dangerous edge. "I will show them what a true living weapon is capable of doing." And he was whisked away by the teleporter. "After Superman's attack I was shut down. The feeling in the Pentagon was that I had failed when it counted most," Hardcastle said, prodding his fire. I took the message, and got early retirement. But make no mistake, we had a file on every one of you even before you turned yourself into an army. That statement caused shock to run through the heroes present. What? Kara asked, still stunned that the government would have files on them. Your cousin, for instance. What happens if he goes rogue again? Or any of you go rogue? We wouldn't stand a chance. Standing from his spot, he grabbed his glass filled with an amber liquid before taking a sip. Sitting in his chair, he continued, big business, and the government have been in cahoots forever. Experimenting on metahumans, creating weapons, just in case your little party turns sour on us. Looking to Kara for a second, he continued softer, but I have no idea where this dream came from, or what could be causing it. I've been out of the loop for too long. I'm sorry. He lowered his head, still ashamed for some of the things he's done. Kara nodded, and stood to leave before turning to look at him again. I am sorry for what Superman did. The ex-general raised his head to look at her, and I am sorry you lost your job. I know some people fear us, but we are trying to do good. With her piece said, the three left, and had John pick them up. Arriving back at the watchtower, the three once more headed to Question's room. I need time to think about this. Process it, Question mumbled to himself. What is there to process? Arrow asked. It was just a bad dream, like I said from the start. You and Naruto just got your panties in a twist. There are things not adding up, pieces to the puzzle missing, Question said, entering the room. You're right. All three turned to face Batman standing in the corner. Geez, don't scare us like that, Oliver shouted at the other man. And Shinobi has figured out what it was, Bruce said, throwing a folder down onto the Question's desk. One of the machines at SDR was a DNA replicator. He figured out after seeing it, you didn't have repressed memories, but those of a clone, psychically linked to you. What? Kara shouted, feeling violated and dirty. Who could have done that? Why would they do that? Batman once more answered, Nuvogen. A few years ago they were bankrolled for an operation under government funds, right after Superman's attack on Earth. Question answered the final remaining piece. A weapon for if it happens again, and they have been using it to take care of other problems. Keep its edge sharp. Yes, was all Batman said, staring at the three. So what are we gonna do about the clone? Supergirl asked, not sure what to do about the clone. We are going to do nothing, Batman said with no room to argue, and what I am about to tell you does not leave this room. Shut the door. Oliver closed Question's door, and the three gave Batman a look. Naruto is engaging the clone. His cold indifference says it all. He wasn't just going to fight the clone, he was going to kill it. You sent him to kill a copy of Kara? Are you out of your mind? Oliver shouted at Bruce. Bruce didn't even regard him, instead focusing all his attention on Kara. He made this decision long before he even came to me, Batman began. He knew from the very moment you told him what had happened. He was just hoping that he was wrong. How did he know? Kara asked quietly. He retains a psychic link to his clones apparently. He learns what they learn. He experiences what they do. From what I can guess, the link started small, either you or her noticing, especially in REM sleep. However, going unchecked caused it to grow. And now it's spilling over between them. Arrow finished, shocked at this. It was too crazy to believe, but Batman wasn't one to joke. Yes, the Dark Knight replied, and Naruto has gone to deal with it, because at some point, she would be ordered to kill you. The link goes both ways. She was getting my conscience. It was becoming harder to do her job. Kara said, more to herself than the others, looking down in shame. Bruce still nodded. I know you senior members think he is a threat, but can he do it? All eyes turned to Arrow. I've seen these two interact, and they may not be a couple yet, but it won't be much longer till they are. He can, Kara spoke up, cutting Batman off from responding, not embarrassed that Oliver mentioned they might be a couple at some point. He hasn't told me much. Just a little more than what you know, Batman. But with what I know, he can, and will kill the clone. He's done something similar. Looking up at Batman, she had unshed tears in her eyes. What's going to happen to him? Sighing, Bruce spoke out calmly. That is the reason what is spoken in here can never reach the rest of the league, especially Superman. His relationship with Naruto is shaky at best. Knowing he could actually kill him will not sit well. Not to mention that he's killing something that looks like me. As we speak, Kara said, the tears starting to fall. Naruto had been beamed down to Nuvogen's front door. Seeing a guard behind the desk, he pulled a set of needles from his pouch, and launched them through the glass door, striking the man directly in the neck, knocking him out. Punching the glass with a chakra-enhanced punch caused it to shatter. Naruto stepped through, and began to make his way through the building. It didn't take long to find who he was looking for. It was obvious she was expecting company. Well, stepping further into the light, smiling, he got a better look at her. She was wearing a white leotard, with a hole cut just above her chest. She had the same platinum blonde hair, as Kara just cut into a short bob, and the same green eyes. Butchers held a sinister look to them, the kind of look that reminded Naruto of Sasuke. I thought that little bitch would be coming for me, but I was surprised after all. Instead of killing her, I get to kill you, her little boyfriend. Naruto didn't bother saying anything, Instead he pulled a kunai from its holster with the ring, spinning it around in his hand. Grabbing the handle he channeled wind chakra into it, creating a sword. Swinging it back he charged forward at speeds that would be able to keep up with Flash. The battle was on. Ducking under the horizontally slash, the clone tried to spear him with her shoulder. Quickly using Kawarimi with an office chair, Naruto was pulled out of the way. The chair wasn't so lucky, and splintered against the clone's shoulder. Rushing forward once more, Naruto brought the wind sword up from the ground, trying to split her in half up the middle. Flipping back from the blade, the clone hovered in the air, and smirked. "Can't get me up here, loser," taunting him before she ignited her heat vision, and tried to blast him. Dodging the red-hot beams, Naruto ran to the wall, and continued up it with the beams hot on his trail. Reaching the ceiling he ran for the floating woman. The two began a dance of death in the air, one floating, the other using the ceiling, as though it was the ground. Trying for a horizontal slash once more, the clone dodged it before punching Naruto in the ribs, breaking quite a few. Rolling with the punch along the ceiling, he went back a few feet before running through a series of one-handed seals, finishing in the ram seal, and bringing it to his mouth. Naruto uses the ring of the kunai to hit his stomach, futon, renkuda. Using his lips, and tilting his head every so often, he fired 5 smaller, but deadly wind bullets. Due to their small size, they traveled faster than their larger counterpart he used against Green Lantern. All 5 made impact, and exploded on the clone, sending her flying into a desk. Recovering, she stood, and prepared to re-engage. Not giving her a chance to engage, Naruto leapt from his perch on the ceiling, bringing the wind blade into a diagonal slash against her shoulder. Once more the full impact was avoided, however he did manage to cleave a large gash from her left shoulder down to her right hip. "Not bad," she said, "for a human. Also, you are aiming to kill me, not a very hero-like?" Naruto didn't bother to reply. Instead he focused on her, waiting for the right time to strike. "My name is Galatea, and I could offer you a lot more than that stuck-up horse-humping slut." She smiled, and it was just as sinister as the look in her eyes. "I could hook you up with my people, and we could ruin that shit of a tower. What do you call a lover boy? I am going to remove you, and your pathetic existence from this world," Naruto said, running forward with renewed speed. Dodging another slash, Galatea tried to use her super breath to push Naruto away. And it worked, Naruto not expecting it to be that strong, knocking him back, and hitting the wall with enough force to crack it. Rushing forward, she nailed him in the stomach with a jab, sending him the rest of the way through the wall. Tumbling through a few desks, Naruto lay there waiting. Galatea figured he would be knocked out, and took her time to reach him. Such a shame, really. We could have been great together. Reaching the downed blonde, she grabbed him by the collar, pulling his head slightly off the ground. Raising her other arm back, she smirked. "Oh well, but this will send her over the edge." However, she never got to deliver the blow to his head. Naruto quickly gathered chakra in his hand before forcing it forward into her abdomen. "Rasengan," he shouted, as the swirling ball of chakra tore into her abdomen, sending her flying off of him, and tumbling down nearby. "That was pretty sneaky," Galatea said, standing on shaky legs. Her outfit was torn, and barely covered her, blood leaking out from the many cuts on her torn-up stomach. Igniting her heat vision, she rushed Naruto, who had rolled, and righted himself after he hit her with the Rasengan. Galatea threw a wild set of punches at Naruto, forcing him to block. Unfortunately, this left him open to the heat vision she had yet to use. Blasting him in the left shoulder, she punched through muscle and bone, the lasers breaking out the back of it. His left arm faltered from the lack of control to it now that his shoulder was missing working parts, and Galatea easily overpowered him, and caught him in the kidney with a right hook. The wind knocked out of him, Naruto leapt back for a chance to recover. "You are more durable than I thought," she spoke with a smile. "Maybe I'll take you on a ride before I kill you. And you are better at taijutsu than I thought." Naruto finally spoke, buying time for his regeneration abilities to take effect. "Come on, Kurama, get my shoulder back in this. It won't be ready in time." "Use it," Kurama instructed, causing Naruto to mentally sigh before gathering chakra into his right hand. "Hand to hand, you mean?" she asked, and seeing him nod, she smirked. "Of course I am," she proclaimed proudly. "Unlike that bitch, I was actually trained in close quarters combat." It shows Naruto raising a glowing blue right arm. "But I grow tired of this." 2 puffs of smoke later, 2 more Narutos joining in on his right hand. That was when her ears picked it up. It started out small, but then became a torrent of hellish screeching. Grabbing her head with her hands to try and alleviate the pain from the noise, she looked on through shaking eyes, as the sphere that damaged her stomach took on 4 blades. The 2 Narutos poofed away in a plume of smoke, leaving only the original still holding the technique. "Futon, Raisin Shuriken," he spoke out calmly before lowering his arm, tearing away anything it came into contact with, including the pants to his outfit and leg. That moment was when Galatea knew she just might die. Then he threw his arm back before rushing her. At speed she could barely follow, she had a split second to move her hands from clutching her head to blocking. bringing the attack forward and plowing it into her crossed arms. Naruto released the devastation of one of his strongest attacks. This isn't anything, all show, Galatea thought, until he unleashed its full force on her. The downpour of wind blades forced her arms apart, and Galatea knew only pain. When the wind subsided, and the light died down, she opened her eyes. She didn't feel any pain. Why don't I feel any pain? Guess it was all for show, shit, and that pain from early wasn't anything. Yet, as she tried to stir she found she couldn't. She couldn't move a single muscle in her body. The Raisin Shuriken does not just damage you, it cuts the nerves to the body. It also destroys chakra pathways, Naruto said from above her. Looking down he could tell she was on death's door. Her outfit completely destroyed, barely covering her, her body filled with cuts, and bleeding all over the floor. She glanced up with her eyes and wished she hadn't. Slitted red eyes glared down at her from above, and all she felt was the promise of death from them. Struggling to speak she whispered out to him, How could you use something like that against me? You mean because you look like Kara-chan? Naruto asked, and without bothering to wait for a reply continued, because when I look in her eyes I feel that I might find peace. The peace I fought so hard for. I feel that I might be given a chance for something more than death. Leaning forward he whispered in her ear, You're just begging for death, like someone else I used to know. Pulling back he grabbed another kunai, and sent a pulse of chakra into it before charging it with wind chakra. Jamming it just below her neck, and just above her rib cage he sent it down at an angle so the point rested inside her rib cage. She let out a strangled gurgle, as he buried the knife to the ring. Standing he walked away before making a seal, and detonating the explosive seals he filled with wind chakra. The top half of her body exploded, while the bottom half was shredded by the shockwave of the explosion. Without even bothering to look Naruto brought his right hand up to his ear. John picked me up. Also prepped the med bay. Dropping his arm Naruto sighed before closing his eyes and feeling the familiar pull of the teleporter. Arriving on the teleporter pad in the watchtower, many of the civilian workers let out gasps of breath at seeing one of the heroes bleeding all over the floor. John quickly flew down to him and steadied him. Do I even want to know what happened? The Martian asked. If you do, take it up with Batman, Naruto responded, to which John replied before helping him to the med bay. On their short trek there John sent out a telepathic message to Batman, Supergirl, Green Arrow, and question asking them to meet him at medical. And sure enough, as Naruto and he arrived the others were waiting for them. Oh my god, Kara said, hands quickly going to her month and worry for the blonde she cared for. Naruto. She rushed forward, but was stopped by John. Entering the medical room, the watchtower's doctors helped the Martian get Naruto onto the bed. Has it been taken care of? Batman asked Naruto, who nodded, while the others glared at him. He just got back from a task that left him looking like that. Once you sent him on, Arrow said, pissed at Batman's lack of care for their new member, and what he had just gone through, and that's all you care about. Knowing John was in the room, Bruce responded, yes, it was a mission I sent him on for the League. I am going to take enough crap from the other senior members, as it is sending him alone. I need to make sure it was done. The Dark Knight covering for Oli's misstep in front of John. Batman nodded to John, and the two left. Is he gonna be alright? Kara asked one of the doctors who was helping Naruto. I will be fine, Kara-chan. Naruto spoke out softly to the girl, who glared at him. I'm not asking you, you idiot. I am asking the doctors. Her voice shaky and worried, but still showed she cared. He will be fine, Supergirl, one of them said. His healing factor John recorded is already taking effect, and he should be as good as new tomorrow. Though had he been anyone else I doubt that. Half his ribs are broken. His left shoulder is destroyed, both bone and muscle. His right arm and leg have deep cuts in them. His kidney is bruised beyond belief, and on top of all that he has multiple skull fractures. Nodding, Kara stood by his side. Reaching out and taking her hand, Naruto gave it a squeeze. Sorry if I worried you, Kara-chan. She smiled through the tears that were once more leaking down her face. The doctors, after getting him stripped to his boxers, bandaged, and hooked up to a few of the monitors, and in 4 drip, left. They could do nothing else for the man, which was fine with the other 3 who all had questions for him. However, Green Arrow saw that a moment was about to happen between the two, and quickly grabbed Question by the back of his shirt, and dragged him from the room. You can ask questions later, but not before hitting the privacy screen, and shutting them off from the rest of the world. I am sorry you had to do that, she spoke softly to him. He regarded her with a look before turning to the ceiling. I am surprised you don't hate me, he said, turning his head to look away from her, and causing her eyes to widen. I did just technically kill you. Glaring down at the blonde in the bed, Kara resisted the urge to smack him. No, Naruto, you didn't kill me. I am right here alive. You killed the provision of who I am by 6 scientists and cowering government officials, she spoke back. I am a fine idiot. Turning his face to meet her, she smiled. If I ever go rogue, at least I know someone can stop me. What if I go rogue? Naruto asked seriously. Unlike the rest of us, you have crossed the line. But you have returned, Kara said gently. That tells me out of all of us, you would be the least likely to go rogue. Especially after what happened with your friend Sasuke. Naruto chuckled slightly. Sasuke. Yeah, him. You won't go down that path, she said, taking the chair next to the bed. She never dropped her hold on his hand. And the two let the beeping of the machines fill their room. Two figures looked over the destroyed office interior, one with a look of sadness, the other anger. We need to know who was able to best the Kryptonian in battle, a voice spoke up. It carried weight, and authority with it. I think I know, a male voice said, leaning down to the puddle of blood and bits. All the remains of Galatea. I will inform everyone at the next meeting. Be sure that you do, the female said back to the kneeling man. His face became lit up by the moonlight. Professor Hamilton held unshed tears in his eyes as he looked at the remains. Galatea. The female figure pulled out a phone. I need this facility scrubbed. All traces of Cadmus must be removed within the hour. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.